everybody. I would like to invite you to live broadcasting this Friday, 11th of December, in the evening at 8 o'clock on Harp channel, based by great Czech harpist Jana Boušková, who is also my friend, and I am lucky to be invited this week as a composer. So probably we will evoke themes, different themes, like to create music. What is new music? What is it to imagine music? We talk maybe about art, about the instant feeling in music, improvisation, and you probably also evoke a very dear theme to me, which is the origins of music, the beginnings of prehistoric music till today. And I will maybe show some of my archaic trance instruments, like this old bone flute, which is one of the oldest music instruments in the world. So you are welcome to join us.
Yes, you are welcome. Welcome everybody today for the Harp channel interview. It's a big pleasure for me to see all of you here today with us. And of course, I am sure that all of you are incredibly excited to meet our guest today. A very special guest. It's not a harpist again, but I am sure that we have to be always inspired by the other musicians more than ever. And I am sure that the composer, who is also our guest today, is one of those who are a big inspiration. And you will see, because he has incredible background, which is incredibly interesting, and he has so many things to talk about. And as you have seen, he is not only composer, he's also a pianist, he is actor, he's really everything. I mean, he's impressive person, impressive artist, and I'm very pleased to invite for our 68th interview on the Harp channel our guest, KRYŠTOF MAŘATKA, a very special guest. Welcome, KRYŠTOF.
Hello.
It's my big pleasure to see you, and to, of course, thank you very much for your time that you took for us, and that we will be able to share your wonderful life with the audience. Hopefully the internet connection will be all right, so we will have no problems of hearing you and to hear all your stories. Where are you now? Tell us.
Well, as a composer, I am living in Prague and Paris, but this time I'm in Paris with my family. So this space is Paris under the lockdown, but we are not locked down. We are with music and with you, and it's a really great, big pleasure to have opportunity to evoke this universe of new music.
Fantastic. So this is exactly the place where you are working. This is the place where all the music starts, and where you when you bring them alive. Or do you have another place where you compose?
Yes, I do have another place. This is the place where already the pieces are usually played for the first time, but I work on the basement of the house, and it looks like a prehistoric cave, you know. So I thought that for the broadcasting would be better to have more space here.
That's wonderful. But of course, as I have not mentioned, but you have already seen on the very rich biography that you are the Czech composer. Even you are living in Prague and Paris since a really long time. You are living in Paris since 1994 already. You moved there with your wife, who is a French violist, of course, we know. But we will talk about everything like that later on. But have you had time to bring you to Prague during this pandemic time, or you have been all the time in Paris?
Yes, I did. And well, I would not say that I moved to Paris, because I am always in between the two these great and big cities. So I'm always moving and traveling. Of course, Prague is my homeland. Prague is the place where I know the most, and which is in the heart. And Paris, it's my second country and second place.
Second home.
And it's adoptive family, and my real family, my kids, my wife, Karin, she is French. So I'm always between Prague and Paris, or in between Czechia and France.
Absolutely. And you are very much inspired by the Czech music, of course, as you were grown up here and we were talking about everything. But we have heard also during your invitation, your music. And you can tell us a little bit what was that so that we will introduce that music as well. The previous, your playing on the piano was, of course, from the New World. It was your reduction for the piano, which is also interesting topic to talk about. But only that we have seen that you are not only really composer, you are also pianist, conductor. I forgot to say that you are also conductor. But tell us a little bit about your piece, which was also noticed in your presentation.
Yes, that's because since very long time as a composer, I'm always it's like an obsession. I'm inspired by origins in general.
Mhm.
You know, the origins of music, where the music is born, where the art is born,
Mhm.
and the studying ethnic and traditional and folk music all over the world. It brought me to the question to ask myself, where does this need of mankind, the need to create, where does it come from, and what does it
Mhm.
mean? And so I tried to study the prehistoric art, and of course I'm a musician, so prehistoric music. We don't know much about that, but we
Mhm.
will talk about it later. Just to introduce my piece, which all this passion and fascination for that team, and all my some knowledges I could have through 20 years accumulated in that piece, which are going to hear, which is this piece, which is written for big mixed choir and orchestra. And the piece is called Vábení, somehow like in English, attraction, which is subtitled Ritual of Prehistoric Fossils of Man. And
Mhm.
this piece is a 1 hour long piece for choir, which sings from the beginning till the end. And
Wow.
the choir is the soloist of the piece, and the choir
Mhm.
is placed behind the orchestra like usual. But like in the left side of the podium, you have the singers, and on the right side you have orchestra. So they are really exposed very much. And this piece we have played. I have conducted that piece with Sinfonia Varsovia and with a wonderful choir from Wrocław, and also from other parts of Poland. And then the piece was also played by Toronto Symphony Orchestra with Peter Unjan in
Mhm.
Toronto, and also in Prague and Paris by Orchestre Philharmonique de Radio France.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I am very happy to show you the, and maybe you prepare the second movement, right? The second
I
movement.
have exactly indeed, but of course, I think that everybody will like to know when was it composed? When did you compose, and where? Where was the place where you have been inspired to do this piece?
Well, I composed it during 2 years, 2009 till 2011.
Mhm. Mhm.
2 years, and I always in between Prague and Paris, and I usually compose in mountains in Krkonoše, in north of
Mhm.
Bohemia, in the small cottage with the forest around, and this is the real place which inspires me a lot, and I have a calm place there, of course. So that's where I worked on that, and the meaning of the piece is that um, it evokes this need to create, and we can feel
Mhm.
it, today with the lockdown, with coronavirus. We
Mhm.
cannot do concerts, we cannot, there's many restrictions, but still we do create, and that's what we are doing now. We are trying to somehow to
Absolutely.
continue to talk about, and this is so human, and it doesn't look very important, but
Mhm.
if you realize it, that's what we stay after us, and
Mhm.
it's so important. So in this piece, of course, it's the piece sounds very wild somehow, and very rustic, and maybe sometimes primitive or whatever. But that where it resides, its beauty,
Mhm.
uh, in this difference of beauty, because the beauty can have many different faces.
Mhm.
Not only
Indeed.
we are, of course, we are we live in our occidental uh, world with our codes, culture codes, and our traditions, but simultaneously there are other traditions existing, and before us existed thousands years ago different codes and different traditions. So
Mhm.
this piece tries to to put some look view on this relativity of beauty.
Mm-hmm. And I must say that when you will hear it, really, because now you heard only under the talk, so you were not able to see the singers and the orchestra, but you will see you are special in that you are trying to find totally new effects, new ideas how to not only to sing, but they do very different effects. They are just doing like this, they are doing like this. You will see that, and that's very special in the group of the people, what kind of sound it brings. So let's now listen and see the video of KRYŠTOF Mařatka's piece Vábení, which is attractions in the explanation of in English, please.
And the last detail, of course, we are musicians, and I would like to invite people who listen to us to listen with headphones or on the speakers, because of course the sound of the computer is not the same quality. So it's just an invitation to be closer to the music.
Indeed. So enjoy. Yes, so welcome again, everybody who is with us today, and welcome to our wonderful guest, KRYŠTOF MAŘATKA, composer, conductor, pianist, actor, everything. You will see and you will hear many information about this very special act. Well, I mean, yeah, you are the wonderful person. I mean, wonderful. Yeah, we know we are really looking forward to hear all the stories. What we have heard now, it was a piece which you have written. You were talking about it, but I would like it that people know about your background as well, because you are not from the musician family, but you're from the artist family, as you are the wonderful artist. And I wonder, how did you come to be the musician?
Well, how do we come to be a musician? I believe there are three things. Of course, there's something which you are born. That's the how it is. The second thing is your where you are born, in which context, in which family. And this I was lucky because, as you said, that in my family there were not really musicians, but art was present because my grandfather was very great Czech sculptor, and he was a professor at the art school Umprum in Prague, and he spent 4 years also in Paris from 19 to 1904. His dream was to reach Auguste Rodin's atelier, and he managed it, and he did it. And Rodin took him as a like a student, and later they become very close friends. And my grandfather had to leave back in 1901 because he didn't have no more money. And Rodin invited him to share his house in Meudon near Paris. So my grandfather spent 4 years next to Rodin's, not only in his work in Rue Université in Paris, but his everyday life. So he was very close, and he was at the origin of the first Rodin's exposition abroad, out of France, and it was in Prague. And it was more than it was not only artistic event, it was almost political event. The venue of Rodin to Prague, because nobody really knew where is Prague. They thought that Prague is in Vienna, you know. So,
Yeah.
so suddenly it became very known, and so that was my grandfather. And also my grandfather, as a child, he lived in the house. He was born in the house where was living Antonín Dvořák, the Czech composer. So and he knew his family, and even my own father, who became a doctor, gastroenterologist. His patients were children of Dvořák. So this relation with art was always present, very present in the family. And also the uncle of my grandmother was he was minister of health under the Masaryk, but also he was composer, and he even had 2 operas played in the National Theatre, and he was very close friend of Karel Čapek and blah blah blah, so on, so, of the big writer Karel Čapek. So this mixture between art, literature, and medicine was always very close. And there's another branch of my family, like from my mother. It was not like that, but my mother sang always. She was singing when I was young, and I'm sure that it had a big and important impact to my childhood. That's why
Absolutely.
I may be so much inspired by this question: what is it, traditional singing and ethnic music and the origins of music? I think that it's because of that. Because I think that in Czech tradition, you tell me if you feel the same. But for us to sing, it's still something very important. We do know.
So, yeah.
We do know the songs, and we sing them, and it's part of the parties, you know. And so
True.
it's something which still is alive, and it
That's
develops,
true.
still developing.
Absolutely. But it's really interesting, as I know you also as a friend. I know that you are really very connected to literature, as you have said. And when I now know that as I know you love really the literature by Karel Čapek, the Czech writer. Now I also know the story that even your past was connected to this writer, which is very interesting for me as well to know.
Yes.
But you were playing. We will see also in one of the video which I have prepared later. We will see that you were always connected with the music. Also, that your parents were bringing you to the music. You were always playing at home also as a children, so that your mother was playing with you on the piano, and you have also sister, so that you are two of you. So that I will just show the little KRYŠTOF with his sister, and you were always playing the music since you were very young.
It's part of the education. It was because, as I told you, my father, when I was born, my father was 60. So by his age, he should have been my grandfather. But I wanted to say by that he is born, himself was born 1914, just the day before First World War started. So by that I want to say that he had sort of education, what we call First Republic. It's the old when in families you not only study but you speak languages and you play music. It's part of normal education, which should be normal till today, but it's not always like that. So not only me, but all children. We are 5 children of my father. We had to play some instruments, so piano and violin, and to sing. It was just normal.
And do your siblings, do they some of them are still musicians? Do they do it professionally as well?
No, I'm the only one which became professional. But I think more important that they like music. Not it's much more important than to become professional. It happens very, very often that kids, they just learn a little bit of piano, a little bit of music, and even that if they quit, it doesn't matter. Important that's the small plant it's planted, and then they like music all their life because it doesn't change. If you like the music once, then you will like it for all the life.
That's very true. And you mentioned that your father was a doctor, very, very famous doctor, a medical doctor. And I will just now, if you allow me to present to the public, a wonderful document which was filmed about your father. And you will hear all these stories which KRYŠTOF was just talking about. You have maybe some information for us.
Yes, just that movie. I made a movie. I am not a movie maker, but once in my life I made something different than composition, and I made this film. And I made this film during more than 10 years. I was just filming without knowing that I'm doing something what will make sense later. So I'm just that for people who are watching to remember that it's just amateur movie to which I have put later on some form, and just to remember my father, who was a great gastroenterologist and who founded this discipline in Czech in 1948, because it didn't exist before.
It's an incredibly interesting documentary, so please don't go away, because this is something what it's very touching and you will learn a lot from that. So enjoy.
S maminkou a oni dva, jo.
Je můj otec a ten jeho starší bratr.
Pracuji s maminkou, ano. Že byste proto šáhnul, že byste začali s tím, že byste si to jenom takhle vzal k sobě z toho. Říká, tak tohle, nemusíte to...
Já nejsem si zcela jist, jestli tu Evu viděl už v Praze, anebo jestli ji viděl v Paříži.
To nikdo neví. Čili to bylo hezká. Ten moment příhoda, to ty lidi okamžitě prostě zbystřejí v té televizi, až zase poslouchají dál, prostě říkám i ty takový, co je třeba ani výkladu nezajímá. Ale to zaslechnou něco, to je důležité tam dostat ten život.
Rod Mařatků pochází z Krkonoš Vysokého nad Jizerou, odkud přišel můj děd, Vilém Mařatka, tedy otec mého otce, jako šefcovský tovariš do Prahy a založil si zde živnost. Usídlil se potom, když se oženil, v Žitné ulici číslo 10. Rodina mého děda bydlela v prvním patře, v druhém patře bydlela rodina Antonína Dořáka a ve 3. patře bydlel malíř Věšín. Takže otec navštěvoval toho malíře Věšína v tom 2. patře, kde ho velice upoutali jeho obrazy a kresby a tím vlastně tato dvě umění na něho od dětství působila. Ovšem, jakmile opustil školu, tak se ocitl bez ateliéru a nemohl prakticky pracovat. Ale pak měl to štěstí, že měl svého dobrého přítele, malíře Antonína Slavíčka. A Slavíček byl těmu velice laskav a nabídl mu svůj ateliér na nynějším nábřeží, odkud bylo vidět na Vltavu. A v zimě, když byla Vltava zamrzlá, tak otec tam pozoroval ledaře, jak nahají sekají kusy ledu a udělal tam plastiku ledaři na Vltavě. Za tuto plastiku dostal první cenu Hlávkovo stipendium na rok do Paříže.
Byl jsem v té době žákem Rodenovým, nadšením i prací dobil jsem si tehdy mistrova uznání. Všechny moje prožitky v Paříži a v Rodenových ateliérech byly tak intenzivní a pro mě umělecky obsažné, že si všechno dobře připomínám, jako by to bylo včera. Vzpomínám z vděčnosti na velkého mistra právě tak, jako na celou uměleckou Paříž, na velký a krásný národ francouzský, který celé výtvarné kultuře už tolik dal a který dovedl dát i také mně uznání pro všechno moje umělecké snažení.
Si humain, mais c'est une œuvre que mon père n'a jamais montrée à personne. On a trouvé ça après sa mort. Ça.
Il n'a jamais montré à
baiser.
personne?
Non. On ne sait pas pourquoi, mais je pense qu'il a pensé
This
que...
one?
Oui.
Oh,
This
one,
one.
this one.
I think he thought it might be too like Rodin, because Rodin also has a kiss.
Když si to vezmeš, otec se narodil 74 a Dvořák se do toho bytu přistěhoval, myslím, 77, jestli se nemýlím. Všem fakt je ten, že ten Dvořák mu potom napsal to doporučení na tu konzervatoř. Tam udělal tu zkoušku a vůbec tam nenastoupil, šel na Umbrum.
Magda Dvořáková, dcera Antonína Dvořáka a po smrti nositelka jeho umělecké tradice, byla svého času mou pacientkou a jednou mi vykládala, že do Prahy přijel nějaký slavný ruský dirigent. Jméno bohužel už si nepamatuju, byl to asi některý z těch starších dirigentů, které jsem asi sám nezažil. A dirigoval tady Pražskou filharmonii, měl veliký ohlas u publika a při té příležitosti vyslovil přání, že by chtěl vidět originál symfonie z Nového světa. Tak Magda ho zavedla do banky, do sejfu, kde byl tento manuskript, ten původní, uložen, vyňala ho. On se v tom s velikou láskou a opatrností ho prohlížel, otevřel ho a nakonec ho políbil. To je hezký, ne?
Yes, I think that we are all impressed by this inspiration of your father. It has been an incredibly inspiring person and personality. And we have seen that he was playing also piano. And yeah, all the stories about your family is incredibly rich. But you have always been lucky for meeting really very interesting people. As far as I know, you were also in contact with a person who made a catalog of Martinu's work. It was Harry Halbreich. Halbreich.
Harry Harp, yes.
Is it correct? Yeah. And he unfortunately passed away, but you were really close friends. Can you tell us a little bit about it? Because I would like to show a little, only the introduction, so that the people will know who we are talking about. Yes, that was also the only just the introduction of the music of Martinu, because he has written just one piece for the harp. It's at the chamber music #1. It was the just a sample of that piece. But tell me, how did you meet this very special person who is so important for the music world?
Harry Halbrecht. Harry was a phenomenon. He was like a living dictionary. He knew everything. He was musicologist. He hated that to be called musicologist, but that I don't know how to say it differently. But that's what he did. But he knew really everything, and he was mostly specialist for Spanish music, for French music, and for Czech music. So if you need some reference for Czech music, he was really one of the number one, and he talked 3 languages because he had a very specific story with his parents who died during the Second World War, and he had 3 languages like the English, the German, and the French. He wanted to do composition. He was student of Olivier Messiaen, and then when he heard music by Martinu, he said that's exactly the music I wanted to write. So I understood that doesn't need to be that the music doesn't need me, and I will try to work for the music a different way. And that's what he did. And he loved all the music, but he really loved the contemporary music. He knew everything, and Martinu was his passion for all his life. Not only Martinu, but specifically Martinu. And he wanted to meet Martinu, and I think that it could not happen because of some different reasons. It doesn't need to answer to the details, but he could not have. And then later, when Martinu died, he met his wife, and his wife told him, "Oh, it's a pity. He would have been so happy if Martinu, if he could meet you." But it didn't change his passion for his music. And Martinu Harry organized all the catalog of Bohuslav Martinu. So now today, when you buy music or scores by Martinu, you see always the letter H. The letter H, it's Harry Harbrecht. It's like for Mozart, Kechel, or for Hoboken, for Haydn. So Harry Harbrecht is Mr. Kechel of Martinu.
Indeed.
And then, of course, he heard my music, and because he loved Czech music, and he discovered new music for him. Then he contacted me, and we became very close friends, and till his death.
And we have seen also in the video a last picture, which was with another Czech composer, Aleš Březina, who is also a director of the Association of Bohuslav Martinu Music. And I have one surprise for you, KRYŠTOF. I bring Aleš to the broadcast to welcome him. Aleš, welcome to be with us. I'm so happy that you could accept my invitation and that we can see both of the wonderful composers of Czech Republic now on the screen, and you both are so now involved in the Martinu music as well, because now is also the anniversary of Martinu, just recently on the 8th of December. So Aleš, may I ask you both, how did you meet, both of you? When did you meet for the first time? What was the impression of the cooperation? If you can tell us a little bit about your cooperation, because I know that you are very close friends.
Well, first of all, let me thank you for this wonderful invitation. I'm so glad to see my friend KRYŠTOF and you, because we didn't see each other for, I would say, something like 4 or 5 years. Maybe the last time was in the La Fabrica theater, the performance of your melodrama, which was quite a wonderful event here in Prague. But to be honest, maybe KRYŠTOF has a better memory. Can you remember the first time we met?
Not really. I don't. It was through Martinu probably. I don't know if at that time you were composing or I don't. Maybe it was. When was that? It was in the 90s when you worked for the Foundation Martinu. So it was through Martinu, of course, how I met you. Yeah.
It was certainly not through Harry Halbreich, whom we both knew very well, but separately. So only later, I remember quite well when Harry told me, you know, Aleš, he always spoke like he's totally excited. You know, Aleš, I've just met a wonderful composer. It's a new Martinu in Paris. It's a Czech composer living in Paris with a French wife. It's a new Martinu. I tell you, you must learn him now. And I said, I know him, of course. So that I remember quite well, but I can't remember our first meeting. I think it must have been at the end of 1990s.
Yeah, probably, and of course, then we had a special relationship thanks to Karin, my wife, and her ensemble Calliope, because they have recorded for the first time the lost Martinus string trio, which has been lost since 70 or 80 years, and it was founded in the library of Copenhagen, and Karin organized recorded this piece, and then went directly to you to help her with all this research, and then we meet very often in concerts, and that's our relation, I think, lasts from the time. Yeah.
Yeah, by chance, this string trio, which is from 1923, I have to say, it's the very first piece of music Martinu composed after he moved from Prague to Paris. He wrote that in the very first month after his change for Paris, and it's completely different from his music he wrote up to then. So if you listen to his music till October 1923, and then this piece from November 1923, it's a different Martinu, and you immediately understand why this change, Prague for Paris, was so important for him. And our friend Harry Halbreich considered this piece to be a real masterpiece and one of the most relevant pieces, because it's a witness of the sudden change in Martinu's style and knowledge about music.
And all this research was recorded. Not only the piece was recorded by Calliope, but also they made a movie about this research, and the film is joined to the CD, and it's a wonderful document about what does it mean to look for a lost piece. It's like Dvořák, we know that he has written a clarinet quintet, but it has disappeared. Imagine that clarinetists today, they discover the score. So just to say that it has a big value, this piece. It's 1923, and it's a great Martinu music.
And I would like to know, and I am sure that the audience would like to know also, as we have now professional, really the most important person for Martinu music, Aleš Březina, our also Czech composer. Aleš, do you know when Harry started to do this catalog? In which year?
Yes, he was commissioned the catalog by Paul Zacher back in late 1950s, right after Martinu died. And it took him 10 years to fulfill this wish by Paul Zacher, but it's I can't imagine the incredible amount of work he has done for that, because right now at the Martineau Institute we have a team of people.
Mm-hmm.
When we did the second revised edition of Harry Halbrecht's catalog with him, so it's his second edition, but we supported him a lot. It took us something like 6 years of a teamwork at a time when already internet existed. Telephone was much more common than back in the 1950s, and it took 5 or 6 years. So he was able to finish the catalog within 10 years, and it's already the first edition is incredible. I have to admit that one of the chances that allowed Harry to compile this catalog was his absolutely incredible memory. So he was able to tell you out of the memory numbers, dates, duratas of pieces, but not only for Martineau, but for Messiaen, for Honegger, for all young contemporary composers he met. He remembered the music, he remembered the sound, he remembered the number of musicians needed for the piece, the instruments. I mean, simply incredible. He was able to tell you, you know, in the third movement in bar 21 is this and that. And I know for sure he didn't prepare for that. He simply was like that. And he told me once that he was considered to be extremely gifted young boy, so that his family always put him on a table when he was 3 or 4 years old, and he read long poems for all the audience in all these 3 languages he spoke, which is French, German, and English. So I mean, he really was a genius, and I feel terribly honored that I was able to spend such a long time with such a wonderful man.
And
I
he wrote a biography, Martineau, in German, and I think it would be great to be able to translate it into Czech, into French.
Absolutely, we should have it as a Czech people, as a Czech composer. It should have been. Yeah, I just would like to know: is there any piece which has been only discovered by Harry that nobody knew before?
Dozens, really. So I mean, if we are now able to discover one piece a year, he discovered dozens of pieces. A lot of early repertoire. One of his last discoveries was, even at the time when already the institute existed, he has discovered that Martineau was able to finish the French translation of the libretto for Juliette ou La Claire des Songes, because we knew for decades that Martineau started it back in 1930s. He did it in 40s, in the 50s, and then he died. And everybody was convinced he never finished the translation. But Harry discovered the missing piece of the translation, so that we were able to recreate the original French text, which has been performed for the first time at the Palais Garnier in 2006. So he was really a man of incredible abilities and wonderful guy. Yeah.
No, I know that, of course, at that time, when now we have everything much easier when the internet exists. But exactly what you said, there was no internet. He must have a search for everything by himself everywhere in the libraries. KRYŠTOF, you might have some information from that.
It's key information for composers. Sorry, so I speak about composers, but he made so much for living composers, Czech living composers, after the second half of 20th century, because during communism we didn't have access to the scores from Western scores, and he always, thanks to his travels to Czech, he brought new scores, and that's how some composer could have access to the discourse. So it was so important in that time.
Mm-hmm. And now I would like to know, because you both...
Maybe I just have to add one small detail. We didn't say that. Out of his love for Czech music, he accepted the job to become a salesman of Supraphon abroad. So this is how he's got all the LPs, all the recordings, and how he was able to commute between Czechoslovakia and Western countries. So he accepted a job as a salesman. Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. He was really in love with the Czech music, certainly, as well. Yeah, and I would like to know, because both of you are very successful composers, have you ever worked together on something, or have you been somehow discussing some kind of composition which each of you were composing with each other? Because I know that you are so close with each other, so that maybe it can happen that you were inspired by one or the advices, or just if I can ask you.
Let me start, because it's easier for me to start. We are quite similar as people and quite different as composers. I am a self-taught composer. I'm doing a lot of film music, theater music, incidental music, and only occasionally I'm composing for concert stage. KRYŠTOF is the exact opposite of me. So, well, we could exchange some ideas, but I don't think KRYŠTOF needs my ideas.
No, it's not about need. It's just to exchange. It's you exchange not because you need it, but because you like the person, you know. So, but I think it's important what you said, Aleš, that we are coming from different background. That exactly you have written so many great film music, and you taught yourself, and it's true that I am not at all in this branch of music. So it doesn't mean that we don't share a lot of good things.
But is it true that you consider to write an opera?
Yes, but I thought talk about it later. But is it?
We will talk about it later. Indeed, we will talk about it later. So, Aleš,
okay.
if you would like to stay with us through the broadcast, we will be very happy. And
yeah.
Of course, everybody is welcome to wait until the end, because there is so many new topics which we will talk about with our guests. But Aleš, I'm so thankful for your coming today and for your time that you brought for all the audience. And I thank you very much for all the informations you have also shared with us. And I hope we will have a chance also to bring you as a guest, and that you can really share many information, not only from your work, but also about your activities as a person concentrating for the Martinu as well. Thank you so much, Aleš, for everything.
Thank you once again. It was a pleasure being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye, Aleš. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. So that was one of my surprise. I hope that second surprise comes later. Hopefully it will be a surprise even for me if it happens. But KRYŠTOF, it's really so wonderful that you as two composers have such a great cooperation and great friendship, and that you can really be so much like cooperative. That's very true, that you have different backgrounds, as you said, but still that you can be really inspiration for each other and have so many common things together. But KRYŠTOF, but of course, we were still not too much talking about your music. Your music is so specific that from my point of view, as I was also privileged and honored that you have written one of the pieces for me, which calls Praharpona. I know that your pieces are extremely difficult. And that I can say because all the musicians know that they are extremely difficult. But of course, the extremely difficult means that it's different than any other music. When you get used to it, you get used to it, and then it's okay for everybody to play it. But it's different because you are finding really new experiments. You are finding to find new sounds, new effects, and these are something different than we musicians are learning. Can you tell us, because you are really based on the nature based of the instruments, what was your inspiration for bringing the new effects to the music?
You know, you touch something which I always ask myself, because we talk about always about new. Is it really so new? that we think? That's the first thing. And is it the point for composer to try to be always new? I talk about that. It's a very important point for me, because I realized that especially in the 20th century music, and we inherited, it's us, we, when I say we, I mean living composers, we inherited this this need to be new. And I think that it stigmatizes our lives as composers, that we have always to find something new. And I don't want that anymore somehow. Of course, we cannot repeat, we cannot copy, we cannot do falsificat or whatever. But this dogma to be new for any price, it's like a sort of, it could be sort of tyranny for living composers. And it's sometimes can be very difficult for composers to go out from. So sorry to be maybe too technical, but I tell you something which is very dear for me as a composer. So you said that there are many different ways, new ways how to play. For example, in the piece I wrote for you, it's not, of course, the point is not to be new. The point is to look for colors which exist, which are somehow nature for the instrument, but which are hidden, which you not always use. But it doesn't mean that the instrument cannot do it. And this is very interesting to look for. It's like a person who doesn't know that he can speak another language. He can do it if he learn it. But you know, and the instruments is the same. So for a piece I wrote for you, it was similar. Shall I talk a little bit about the genesis of how the project, how it happened?
It would be very interesting. I must say, maybe you can even say how it came that you started to play to write the piece for the harp, because of course we are at the Harp channel, so I'm very happy that we have always the guest who is somehow connected with the harp, either as a cooperation or either now as a composer who has written a piece for the harp. But you have never written any piece for the harp before that, right?
Yes, there are three instruments which were always for me before, which I had, which I didn't imagine to be able to write for. It was harp, it was cembalo, and guitar. And I don't know why. We can look for some explanation, and it's not reasonable. Of course, it doesn't have logic, because I think when you, as a composer, you are, it's a sort of challenge, and you should cross over your thoughts. You should always try to be better than you inside. So, and that's what happened. So it happened in 2008 when there was a piece of mine playing by Czech Philharmonic in a Rudolfino, and it didn't go so well. It was strange, and suddenly in that moment, which was very tough for me as a composer, I remember that you came. It was like when the angel comes from sky, suddenly, and totally desperate situation. And you came to said, "Oh, listen, I would have a commission for you if you are interested to write a harp concerto for me." And I was so surprised and so shocked. And I must say that it doesn't happen very often that we composers are solicited to write a piece. Usually, we decide to write a piece. We go to see interpret or director of orchestra or festival. We propose. We try to convince, and very rarely we are asked by him. And that's what happened with you. And paradoxally to that, I remember my answer. I told you no. Because I didn't know what to do with harp. And I said no. And it took me 1 month. And after 1 month, there's, when you put some idea to the composer's head, there is a danger that he will realize it. And that's what you made. And in 1 month later, I told myself, but damn, it's I should be able as a composer to cross over that this thought in myself, and the contrary, it's to take it like a challenge to your imagination, And it's like in life, sometimes you think that you cannot realize something, it's too difficult, it's not for you, it's not nature, but it's always in the head, and you just decide and you do it, and it happens. So then I wrote the piece, but I must say that it was tough, because to write for harp, now I will be a little bit technical, but it's necessary. Harp, it's not, as you know, chromatic instruments. It's not like on the piano that you have all notes, but there are just a few strings which are repeated in different octaves, but a few strings, and in one string can play 3 different notes thanks to pedals. So it's like if you tell to poet, write a poem, but you cannot use all letters in alphabet. You can use only 1/3 of them. And one letter means 3 different things. And now you go and write the poem. So, this is this sort of difficulty. So when I was working on the piece, it's the technical thinking and the inspiration was always this dialogue between the mental and the soul and the instinct. It was always solicited a lot. So it took me longer than normal.
But I must only interrupt you that to say to this point, because this is so interesting. It seems like you were not even imagine how to write for the harp. But then when we met for the first time and you came with some kind of ideas and some kind of parts which you have written already, it seemed like you have always played on the harp, because you came with the ideas which were so natural for the harpist. So it was very interesting for me to see that you came with you said like, can you play this? And I said like, actually, yes, why not? And it has never appeared in the harp technique, but you came with this idea as non-harpist, which was very interesting for me. So where did you bring this inspiration, maybe from the piano, or where did you come from this?
There is also a little bit of piano, because there is sort of natural movement of fingers, like on the piano. Sort of. You too. You have been piano. You have played piano before. So there's this. But also, when you're a composer, and you must somehow know the instruments and to understand its logic, its soul, its nature. Every instrument has its own nature, and as a composer, I think that you should never go against the instrument. It doesn't mean to find new things, And this tiny, you are always walking on the board, and you must not fall down. But always try to find it, to find something interesting and something maybe new or whatever. But never go against the instruments. So this is my philosophy about that. And there's another point very important in that piece. I repeat for the public that it's a concerto, it's harp and orchestra. But in the same time, I had the idea and I had wish and to make a chamber music version for keeping the harp part as it is, that did not change, but to reduce, to arrange the orchestra part to string quartet with 1 percussion, and it's how it became a sextet, which is harp, string quartet, and percussion. And we had I had a chance that this version was played by Sandrine Chatron, who is French harpist, and Ensemble Calliope, who put it on the CD too. And in the same time, you create the version with the original version with orchestra, and you play, of course, the sextet version too. And I am lucky because there are other harpists played the sextet. It was Ani Kusimaki, who is Finnish solist of Helsinki Philharmonic Orchestra, and another French harpist, Delphine Benamou, played the piece too. So I consider myself very lucky, because you know what we say, that the piece lives only when it's played by other more interpreters. But this may be a question me to you, how do you feel with that? Because it can be disturbing for somebody who initiated the piece, but other musicians play it. What is your feeling about that?
Well, I'm sure that the music needs to live. So it's, of course, if I see that the piece it's willing to be played and it's possible that it's going through the world, it's the most important that something exists and something can live. So of course it's no problem for me, absolutely not. And of course, as the piece for the harp and the orchestra was commissioned also by the orchestra in Kiel, it has been premiered in Germany. And I remember the first premiere because you gave me the music about, I don't know, 1 month before the concert. And I know that normally it was no problem for me to learn a contemporary piece in such a short time, but I saw it and I was really desperate because I thought that it's so different from everything else what I've ever played before, that you have to coordinate, like to, for example, doing this move with the left hand and right hand like this, and it was just like totally confusing for the head. And I know that many things I have done which I have never done before, and I ask you if it's possible that we will postpone the premiere because it was not possible to make it in 1 month. So I remember this was the first case ever has happened to me that I was not really able to adjust to the notation which you have written. But at the end, the premiere was really very successful as far as I remember, and it was really, even on the reviews, it was brought as a great view, for the future for this piece.
And now it looks, when you replay it, it's there and it looks for you rather
absolutely. Absolutely.
It's a very, very important point because for when you have something new, something which is not how to say that people are not used to. I mean, the interpreters or whatever, it can be whatever. It can be an idea, but it's difficult to accept. Yeah. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't have a potential, and later on it can become something. It can become a norm. It become normal. So we, as a composers, we always try to hope so and to work with that idea. That of course we would love that our music stays and it's continue to be played 50 years later and so on. But we cannot influence it. We can influence that only by doing our work as best as we can. That's the only thing. We should not care about the future in this way. But I think that organizers and interpreters like you should know that, I heard this piece, it was strange. Maybe it helps, not maybe, but I'm sure it helps to listen again and to try to play again. And it can change everything. So we as a composer work always with time. We sometimes it doesn't work well, and if it's our fault, of course we have to change something. But very usually also it's because of conditions, because there are not enough rehearsals, because there's not good acoustic or whatever. There are thousands of reasons, but pieces need to be replayed. So.
Yeah, absolutely right. And also this piece, which was written for the harp and the solo harp with the company, either orchestra or the chamber music, it has a theme. It's based on the Prague, and that was also because, as you have seen also in the intro at the beginning, and it's always there, the Praha, which is original name of the Prague in Czech language, Praha. When you read it backwards, it's a harp. So I once brought this. Actually, I found out that the Praha is a harp backwards to be read. So I talked to KRYŠTOF also about this, and that's why this piece calls Praharphona. So which there are 3 words actually as a rebus to put together, and it's really very interesting.
There's a subtitle in my piece. Subtitle is Music from Old and New Prague, and it's sort of homage to my native city, Prague.
Exactly. And it has 9 movements, and 8 movements, and there is a big cadenza also. But I will now like to introduce 3 parts from that concerto, little parts. We can try to start with the one which calls totalitarian regime, or how does it call?
Well,
Exactly.
in every movement, there are allusions to different phenomena, always connected to Prague. And the part you want to put, that it's a homage to the creation of one of the oldest university in 1348, Charles University, and there is also part of totalitarianism. It's of course Prague was marked by totalitarianism, and we can talk about Austrian-Hungarian Empire or Nazis or communism. So you will hear that because of the side drum. You will, I think, people recognize.
Exactly. And you will also see a part of use which I am using for the playing, which was the first time I have ever seen it. And I don't think that many composers has used it, and it's a roller. And I have also, when I had done some education program for the children, I have been always showing that the harpist can also play with the roller. So you will see that. Yes, this was a part which I must tell to the audience that happened once when I was performing. I think it was in Jyväskylä when we were in Finland performing this. Also, that I was, or maybe it was in Germany. I have no idea now. Anyway, when I was playing with the orchestra as a soloist, I cut my fingernails before this, and you have seen now that I was playing the glisses at the end. There is many times this kind of technique which KRYŠTOF have used. And it is like with the nails, the glisses like that. And of course, if you have to play it very strongly, you actually peel the nails as well. And because I have cut the nails before, you can imagine I was really peeling the nails until I was blooding during the concert. Do you remember that?
I do, but it's not written in the score.
It should never cut the nails before you play this piece. It has happened really, and it was quite of an interesting story from this experience, from this performance. But I really enjoy to play this piece always because it is so different, so contrasting, and so many wonderful colors and really effects which you have seen only now a little part of it, like the clapping with the feet of the performers, or there is many of the new voices which you have never heard in another piece. Is there anything new which you have used in this piece for the first time?
For me, the harp, as I told you.
The most important instrument. Yes, that's very true. That's very true. Yeah, there is, as I mentioned, there is a big cadenza, which is also quite unique because actually, I must say honestly, from the point of the harp player, it's really very tough concerto. It's very difficult for having the strength in the fingers and in the hands. But we will now hear this little example of the cadenza, where the orchestra is only a company and the harp has the main position. Yes, that's it. And then it goes for a long time is the glazes. So the harp is no, when you don't have a calyces, you can have really big blisters. But we have the calyces, of course, in our hands.
I think I should say that this recording was made in Paris, in Czech Center. It was last year. And you could hear a French quartet, Luga Quartet, which is a wonderful quartet, which is playing also a lot of contemporary music, but not only, of course. And with Pascal Pons, who is playing percussion, and you as a soloist.
Yes, here you can see the picture of all the performers. It has been a year ago in Paris. So, and did you? Because we have one more the ending of the composition, because we were just saying that it's connected with the Prague, and at the end, as the people who ever visited Prague, they know that the people are very connected to the beer here. They are drinking the beer, so even at the end of the piece, you have used this kind of style of Czech people, that they are drinking the beer, and that there is a tradition. Tell us the reason.
Well, first you will hear a very fast part, which evokes noises when you can hear in the pubs, just the people are talking and drinking and so on. So that's what it can evoke. And on the very end, the piece lasts with 13 chords, and which are like 13 beers, you drink. And then it finishes with one shout of everybody. So it's just a joy. It's a simple joy. The piece finish with joy, and that's how it is. And of course, there's more effect of it when you have the whole orchestra. I tell to our those who listen to us that the version we are listening is only with string quartet and orchestra. So of course, the writing is slightly different.
Exactly. And just to mention that it was in the Czech Center in Paris, which was very compact and very intimate place with not so many people inside. So it was really very intimate concert, but very nice. And I have very nice memories. So let's listen to the last little example of this piece. Yes, it has been time when we were able to have concerts still. Unfortunately, it's not now possible. But how is it in Paris? Do you have some kind of concert still, or have you been able to produce your music live?
Only on September. It was in Czech. It was in Symphonic Orchestra of Prague, and also in a Jana Festival in Brno. But going back to France, it was again lockdown. And yesterday, the Prime Minister was talking again. There was some hope that during Christmas they will open theaters, museums, concert halls, and so on. And it was locked down again. So it's really a tough moment. But it will go on, and history shows us that there has always been, the.
Absolutely. But you have now time at least more to be concentrated on the new work. Are you now concentrated on composing something new?
I must say that somehow for me something didn't change at all, because this is the difference between maybe you and me, because I'm composer and I'm mostly sitting and working hours and hours by day on music. And if I'm locked down or free, it doesn't change. What changes completely is, of course, concert promotion. So I am lucky. I have some commissions now for 3 years. So I am working on that, of course. But my own concerts, where I am conducting myself or playing, of course, that's totally down. And also, it's financially. Well, you must know. And no, everybody knows. I don't need to talk about that every day. But it's very not easy. So, but I must say that somehow I don't feel bad, because this is power of music, and of the power of to create. My grandfather, when he wrote his memories, by the way, they will be translated, his memories, to Rodin. It will be translated into French by Rodin's Museum of Paris, and it should appear next year. And in that text, he says that once Rodin told him, the biggest joy I know in life is to joy for to create. And it can be anything. It doesn't need to be to create music or art. It can be any kind of project. It can be kids. You see grown up your children, but something which will last after you. And this is the biggest joy. And that's what I feel during lockdown. That somehow, of course, it's there are many reasons to be sad and depressive. But on the other hand, I didn't feel hurt about that, because I'm always working on it. I always project. So and I did write. I'm writing I'm writing an opera, and there was a violin concerto and project for Ensemble Calliope with astrophysics, some theme we will talk about maybe. But beside that, I wrote 3 or 4 small pieces. I wrote a new clarinet solo piece for my son, just entered Paris Conservatory, and another piece for violin, and this wonderful bass koncovka for Alexandra Stum, which is a wonderful French-Russian violinist. And so I'm always creating and playing. So, and I need to say one thing, that I'm lucky to be in a family. We are talking in the beginning about my family, but we are just evoking the Czech family. But we didn't talk at all about my French family, which is my wife Karin, and my kids David and Jan, and my father-in-law Michel Letiek, and Françoise, wife, violinist, and Saskia, which is which is sister of my wife. And so it's a wonderful music family, and we have a lot of things to share. So somehow this lockdown is sad, and in the other hand, it's well, the life continues, and thanks to music and family, we go through. And
Indeed.
we should not be, of course, sick. That's the point. I did have coronavirus, so I tested, but we are lucky that it's
Everything
after.
is, yeah, thanks God. Yeah, and I would like now, when you were mentioning your family, I would like to present to the people really your family. I have managed to do a video about your family, but also I would like, for those who came a little bit later, to say a little bit, or to make it closer, about your grandfather, that he was very famous sculptor, Josef Mařatka, who also did this sculpture in front of the Rudolfinum of Anton.
No, sorry. This is not my grandfather. It's not the one of my
It's not
grandfather.
yours. Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought that it's him.
No.
Oh,
Dvořák by my grandfather is inside Rudolfino when you enter the stairs of entrance, and there is the bust, only the head, but not this one.
I see. Okay, so I was misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Understood. Yeah. So, but of course, he was so famous that there is so many of the sculpture which he has done. Certainly, this one is one of those, right? Because it's with your father there.
This is my father, and this is the biggest monument made by my grandfather in Prague, which was made in 1928 for the 10th anniversary of creation of the Czechoslovak Republic. And when Hitler came to Prague in 1939, then they destroyed it immediately, because it honors Czech legionnaires army, which thanks to them, we could have created our state in 1918. And my father, when communism stopped in 1990, he managed to make a resurrection of this monument, and he worked for that so much. And in 1998, for the 80th anniversary of Czechoslovak Republic, it took again place in Prague, in the center of Prague. And this is the photo of the day when the statue came and they were placed.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, I would like now to present to the public your family, and you will see how great family KRYŠTOF has. And of course, you will hear also, besides that, you will hear KRYŠTOF playing the piano as the pianist, and his transcriptions of the New World Symphony by Antonín Dvořák. Beautiful. I hope that your family can watch as well, or at least later on that they can be part of this interview as well. And I hope your mom in Prague, that she's able to watch it as well, because of course she's such a lovely lady.
Yes, thank you for that work you have done. It's you did all this collage, and for me, of course, it's personal, but it touched me a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Honestly, it touches me always too, because it's like, because I do it really personally so much as I know the people who I'm doing the interview with. And it seems for me also like personal thing. And I'm very, happy that we can share this also with the public, because we are not only artists as you and all the musicians, but we are a human being. And this is the part of our life to have such a wonderful families as you have also.
That's what interests me very often, the human being as a composer, because as a people, we always need music, and music accompanied always the mankind since the beginning of humanity. You know, when we, as I told you at the beginning of our discussion, that I am so much inspired by the origins of music and prehistoric art and so on this. And you see that the since the first moment that we discover traces of humans' activity in the world, about we talk about 40,000 years before Jesus Christ, Homo sapiens, then immediately in that moment we find uh, imprints of art. So art, expression, how to transcendate things, how to transcendate our everyday activities, how to put spirituality, a sense to our life, and to try to communicate with the universe. It was always present, and through the art, and thanks to the Paleolithic paintings, cave paintings, we can imagine how rich was that art, and how the imagination of man was solicited and was looking for how to touch this spirituality. And for me as a composer, it's unique because I am studying the Paleolithic music, and I am collecting all these instruments, which I maybe present you. But
Indeed.
I
I
have
want now to come into that point, because of course we all see that wonderful collection of instruments, which actually not everybody know that are really instruments. And I would like, if you are so kind, to really introduce each of the pieces you have there.
look that painting. I don't know if you can see it.
Mhm.
It's la Grotte Chauvet, the cave Chauvet. It's one of the oldest paintings of humanity, and it's in Dordogne, in a region. And if you look at it, how how it's done. This is Lascaux. It's This is 15,000 years before Jesus Christ. The first one was 32,000 years. Imagine what it is. 32,000 years. Sorry, to be a little bit didactic, but I think it's useful. 30,000. We are only today 2,000 years after Jesus Christ, and this is 35,000. It's incredible. And
Unbelievable.
you see how beautiful it is and how it's done, and it's really painted this way, this superposition of lions' heads. And it leads me to think that if man can express his life this way, the music at the time could have been also so sophisticated. Of course, it stays a speculation, but we do have today rests of musical instruments, and we know that man used different bone flutes and raccoloirs and ocarinas and rhombs and playing stones, and of course the most and mysterious and magnifique music instrument, which is human voice. It's what we are using now. But
Absolutely.
we cannot we cannot have trace of that, of course, but I'm sure that the man was also using the human voice. So I was since 20 years. My passion is to go and to try to see and to study the Paleolithic art and the Paleolithic music expressions. And I started to collect music instruments, which are some of which I call trance instruments. What does it mean? My trance instruments. Trance, there's idea of movement. It can be movement from one point to the other in time, like transport, transfiguration, or transmission. But it can be also geographically. But there's a movement, and these instruments, which I call trance instruments, because they are somehow the archetype of our today's instrument. So if I show you, for example, this bone flute, which is, of course, this one is a replica, but I make them make. I have wonderful people with me in Bohemia, which are creators of traditional folk Czech instruments, but not only. They know so much about organology. Organology is the science of music instruments, and they know so much about acoustics. They could teach it at the university, but they are doing these instruments, and I commission them, and we are talking about it, and they are producing them. So, for example, this bone flute, which tries to imitate one of the oldest music instruments which we have found till today, which is a flute from cave Divje Babe, which is in Slovenia. And it's considered like one of the oldest music instruments. And the original doesn't have this hole; it's just cut here. We just have a fragment on it. But if I tell you, there's no mouthpiece. Its hole is open, totally open. So it's very difficult to play to it, to learn. I must say that it took me 1 year to learn to produce the sound on it. I was trying, and sometimes when you really are, you don't want to let the thing go, and you try and try again. One day it can happen suddenly. And
I'm sorry, KRYŠTOF, I maybe missed it, but did you say which bone? Is it from which animal?
This one probably from bear. This one is not bear because it's so difficult to get bear's bones today. But this one is not bear. But the original is a bear. And I wanted to say that that I tried to produce the sound on it, and the day suddenly the instrument sang for the first time. It was one of the nicest day, but it's a special technique which I cannot really explain. I don't know how, but I will try to make it sound. But the charm of these instruments is that sometimes they don't sound immediately. We must not forget that we are not in the concert hall, that these instruments are not perfect. They are primitive. So sometimes it needs time to make it sound. So, but I will try. Let's see how it behaves. So this is, as I said, about maybe 45,000 years ago. There is another flute.
Amazing. Do you think that because it's not easy to play, do you think that it has been so primitive in the past, of course, as well, so that it was because that the people were the same, or how they can produce the music, the sound on it? Because if it's so difficult, do you think that they came to the point how to play on it as well?
It's not difficult when you learn it. It's like Praharphonam. So once you, sometimes it's when you are used to it, it's not difficult at all. It's just difficult to do the first step. But when you practice, try, suddenly it. Well, I will try again, but. You must imagine to be in cave, for example, where it resonates so much, and you can imagine 5 or ensemble of this flute together, mixed with singing and with the rhythm, and suddenly we get another dimension.
Of course, but can you tell me, where did you find out that these instruments existed? In the museums, or in the books, or where have you found it?
Yes, they are in the repertoire. Of course, the musicologists, the ethnomusicologists, and anthropologists, and all the people who work in the discipline, they know about it. It's in books, and there are museums. And talking about museum, this flute is the real replica. It's one of the oldest music instruments founded in France. It's about 32,000 years ago. It is replica, but it's made exactly like the original. It means that the original is from the bone of the big bird. I don't know in English the term. In French,
Estich.
Yeah, it's a vautour or a soup.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not eagle, but it's this sort of bird. And this flute, I can show to the camera, if also doesn't have any mouthpiece. And this, I work a lot with the ensemble of Karine, of my wife, the ensemble Calliope. And they are as an ensemble in residence in Château en Saint-Germain-en-Laye. It's just next to Paris, about 10 kilometers from Paris. It's a magnifique, wonderful castle, which was where Louis XIV lived before he constructed Versailles. And so it has a big French history inside there. But beside that, it became, in 19th century, it has become the biggest archaeological French museum. And in that museum, they have all these great artifacts and this flute from Istoritz, because the name of the cave is Istoritz, which is on the south of France in Basque country. And this is the real replica. I will try to play it, and also you play very special way, which is similar, like this way, like this flute. It has only 2 holes, one here, and one behind. So
yes, it's very interesting because you are using these instruments for your pieces. But can you tell me, how do you make the notation for those pieces? Because if you don't know how the sound will be produced, how you will notate it in the music?
I do know now. I control the instrument enough well that I know how it can sound. So I try to use the notation as most classical as it is, because as you can see, you hear the notes. This is E flat.
Of course.
So you just write the E flat, and but sometimes when it's instruments too improvisable, like sometimes the Czech folk instruments, which is koncovka, which is nature flute. I will play it later. Then I write it different way. I put the option to improvise, or I use notation like in aleatory music, that I give some possibilities how to do it. I want to show that on the flutes sometimes later on men put some mouthpiece. So this is sort of reed. This is a bone flute, but inside suddenly we put the small piece of wood, which is cut it a little bit on the side, and suddenly it gets completely another color.
It's like the dute, no? It sounds more like the dute instrument. I hope it's the correct word for it. You know, the one.
Yeah, I know. Pipe. So that's. I'm happy that you say that, because you evoke exactly the thing which interests me. That means to find archetypes of something what we find today and which always existed. I give you an example, perfect example of that. Look, you have two instruments. You have the bone I show you at the beginning, the bone flute, one of the oldest instruments. And this one is contemporary folk instruments, which you can find in Balkan, which is called kaval. And it's exactly the same thing. You have one hole with no mouthpiece. It's totally open. And you play exactly the same way on it. So I will play the prehistoric flute, and then I will play kaval, and you can compare. You see?
It sounds exactly the same.
It sounds the same, and there is about 50,000 years of difference.
That's amazing.
And I use this opportunity to express my philosophy as a composer, because in my composing, I am speaking about originovation. Origin, then and innovation. So it means that it's connection between very far past and today's music, which is thought to the future. You see, so that's my credo. I would say. I was in Czech credo, but
I just would like to say.
Sorry.
I just would like to say that the bone which we were talking at, it's from the bird. Aleš Březina, our guest who was there with us, also he just wrote me that it's vulture. The name of the
yeah.
Thank you very much, Aleš, to be with us.
Vulture, yeah, it's exactly. Even the replica is made from that bone, so it's exactly the copy of the original. And I have many other instruments, of course, of them. Let me go. So where I was speaking about prehistoric instruments and the beginning of instruments, of course, one of the oldest instruments, you see these stones. You have just two stones which comes from Brittany, from La Bretagne. But you can do melodies with these stones. Imagine, normally you just make one noise, one sound, one note, but I can change notes.
That's amazing.
And so on. And
how, is it because it's empty inside, or how do you do that?
Yes, I do that because one of the stone has a little bit hole, but nature. I didn't do it. You must find them at the beach, or on the rivers, at the rivers, and just covering. There's the hole here, and I just turn it. I take it, and then if I open a little bit here, or I close, then it changes the mode. Now I open, and so on. So you can really create melodies. So of course this is one of the oldest instruments.
Yeah. Have you found it by yourself, like a surprise, or did you also read about it?
Yeah, this one, yes. This one I call that a musica mene. musikameny, which means music stones. Yes, musikameny. And I use this instrument often in my pieces. And then we were in Paleolithic, and we can go to Neolithic, which is closer to us, about some 10,000 years before Jesus Christ, or 5,000. And there's also already metal, which starts to appear. And as a metallic instrument in that time, already we found this instrument, which exists till today. You know it very well, probably.
Yes.
It's
into the mouth.
It's a jaw harp, which we call in English jaw harp, and you put it in between your teeth, and you use your mouth as a resonance. Yeah. And so on. So it's rhythmic.
You know what? It's very interesting because it sounds, I don't know if it's because of the internet, but it sounds like the electronic music. It sounds like the computer music, which is so interesting to see that really the prehistoric music comes into the modern music so clearly. You know, that it is such a mixture.
There's a small thing which is in metal, which you put into your mouth, so you don't have to smash it.
Hold it.
It imitates bird sound. You know, sometimes musical instruments, some prehistoric musical instruments which we find today, we think that they are not only music instruments, that they are there more to imitate noises of animals, just to attract them and to hunt them. See, so the musical instrument doesn't need to be there for the spiritual meaning, but for the very practical thing. Yeah.
And you also, when you mentioned that it sounds like the bird, I know that I don't have the example now, but the people, the audience can find on the YouTube. You have also the piece which calls like the animal's voice or something like that, like the I don't know. It's for the orchestra and singers, and it's about the birds as well.
There are some birds, but the piece is called Zvierohra, which is translated like beast play, and for soprano and orchestra. And soprano evokes many different sounds of nature. And I continue my travel. We were in Neolithic, and now, of course, Jana, you are harpist, so we should show antique harp, but we don't have that. But that would be a good moment to show it. But anyway, if we continue, I have something really very, very rare. And it's something which it's an original, it's not replica. And it's an instrument which is about 1,500 years old. And
wow.
Totally rare. I don't play it because you cannot touch it. But it's a flute, pan flute from South of America, from pre-Columbian period, from about, I don't know, 8th or 7th century. And
mine.
It's absolutely great because it's not only fragment. The instrument was conserved as it is. So I use the opportunity just to show it on that.
That's amazing treasure. Tell us, where did you find it?
This instrument was a present of one man that me and Karin, my wife, we met last summer in south of France, and he traveled a lot all over the world, especially in South America, and brought some of this relic from there. And because we have played there a concert, he gave us this instrument, and he also borrowed us another instrument. Look, this
maybe KRYŠTOF, would you mind just now to have a little break? We'll continue, because I have another present for you, a little surprise. Not little, big surprise. But it's a surprise because I was not sure. It's a surprise for me as well because I was not sure if it will happen. And I'm so happy that it works out because I invited another guest, and it's Hartmut Rode, the violist, who is a very good friend of you. So, Hartmut.
Oh,
Hello.
I must tell you that Hartmut had a concert tonight. So I was not very sure if he will manage to come into the broadcast. I am so happy and thankful, Hartmut, that you came. Thank you so much.
Well, we just cut out the repeat in the Mozart. We played the Schumann in a Baroque style tempo. And I put the babies to bed, and here I am.
You are wonderful. I just changed your name so that everybody knows your name completely. And Hartmut, you know each other very long time because the people who are with us since the beginning, they have seen the documentary about the father of KRYŠTOF, and you were there as well. So tell me, how long have you known each other, and how many compositions did you play of KRYŠTOF, and so on?
That's interesting. I think it's about like 98 or 97. It was a masterclass program of my former teacher, Hato Bayerle from the Alban Berg Quartet. And we all met at this festival. And then I think in 2000, this wonderful change into the new millennium, we celebrated in Prague together.
yes, that's true.
And I saw his father at a very high age, in a very sportive manner, very alive, very vivid, active, doing some skiing. Yeah, just cross country, not downhill, but still, you know, with 90 or 91. And I could see all the artwork of his father. So very impressive, the artwork in Prague, all the artwork in the house, all the sculptures, and this very strong impression still is very positive and alive in my imagination.
And what was the first piece you have played of KRYŠTOF?
I have such a bad connection. It sounds like coming from the Jupiter or Saturn. It's just.
I'm so sorry, but you have great connection. I mean, we see you very well and hear you as well very well. But do you hear me now? I just would like to ask, which piece was the first one you played of KRYŠTOF?
Well, it was a Czardash.
It was a transcription. Transcription of folk Czech music.
Yes,
I think, because I must say that Karin, my wife, when she switched to viola, and she studied before violin, then she switched to viola, and she that you play together a lot, and you are teaching, although of course, and that's the real how we really met. Thanks to Karin and then because I do lots of transcriptions of folk Czech music for different formation, I wrote also a piece for two violas and piano, which is this Czardash, which is very in the popular style, Czech popular style. And said that's how you played for first time something what I have written. It was not really my music, but only transcription. And then there was a commission from you for Max Rottal competition, in Berlin.
Exactly.
Competition, and I wrote that piece, which is Labyrinth for viola solo, which was played on the second round or first, I don't remember, of the
first round, by 40
so
people.
All violists they had to learn the piece, and it was great experience. And
I was so convinced because teaching Karina, I was able to get to know the viola concerto. His first viola concerto, the piece for viola and orchestra, was so impressive and so strong as a musical piece that I was immediately really just taken away by the expression of this composition, and this is why I chose him to be the composer in residence for this Max Rostal competition in Berlin. And later on, we tried the very hard string trio with the scordatura, but I have to admit the Kandinsky trio never made it for the performance because of sicknesses, and then it was just too complicated to make it up in time. But I'm witness of fantastic performances of the cembalo solo piece, the François Salk, the cello piece, and maybe I'm a little bit still energetic to have played a live concert, and my spirit is really up. But I would say such pieces, they nearly they do hit the intensity of Ligeti's music, not in style but the intensity, because they are challenging and they're so strong. They're mathematically, they're emotionally, they are just going to border of the expression of every instrument. And this impression is really, really something which has stayed from the first minute on.
That's wonderful. So have you played many pieces of KRYŠTOF? Or did you play the solo piece, the Czardash and the concerto? Or some more pieces?
The concerto I never performed with orchestra. So it's maybe something for my second part of my life now. And I performed many times the smaller solo piece. And then we also played the Exaltum with my piano quartet, a wonderful kind of contemporary Czardash with the piano part, with a good wine cork to be used, a hair comb, and with great success in America and in Australia at a couple of festivals. So the Exaltum we performed, I think, like 10, 12 times on tour.
And did you find something very unusual when you heard the music of KRYŠTOF for the first time, that he's using something new in the technique for viola?
I can't hear anything. Maybe
yes, I know that the connection is a little bit difficult.
No, I can't hear you at the moment.
Maybe it will be better now. Maybe the connection is better. I just wondered if when you heard the pieces by KRYŠTOF for the first time, or played it for the first time, if you have find something what was so unusual for the viola playing than you have never met before, the technique and something like that.
The music, he knows the instrument inside out. So he knows how he can challenge the instrument. And in the compositions, like also, I mean, like Hindemith, like Brett Dean, a friend of mine who writes for his own instrument, or Atta Arad. You feel if a composer knows the instrument inside out, if he knows not just the instrument well, but all the expression which you can just imagine the width and the depth of the possibilities. And KRYŠTOF is really challenges. I mean, it's you have to do some serious practice.
That's right. But I always enjoy it as well, because the final result is always so impressive, and for the public it's always impressive as well. So is there any concert planned now with the music of KRYŠTOF? Do you have any plans? I know now in this situation it's nobody able to plan, but is there any future plan for you?
Well, I mean, I would say as a thank you for joining the show, he will compose a trio for harp, viola, and piano by tomorrow.
Indeed.
and then we do a serious touring.
Absolutely, KRYŠTOF. Now it's the task for you. You have to do that. You owe us the piece.
Actually, it was on the list for a long time. The trio for harp, viola, and it was. It's something which is somewhere in like Debussy formation.
Yeah, but
one day
I would say we give him just all the time he needs to make this piece happen.
Absolutely. But he has time now during the pandemic time, right?
Well, I mean, he can collect all the ideas already, scribble it down, and then when time comes, he will know, and then it'll be good.
Absolutely. No, it will be really great. But is there what piece that you played for the last time of KRYŠTOF? Do you remember when was it and where was it?
No, it was the solo piece for viola again. And I mean, actually, I really performed just a couple of czardas and then the solo piece many times. And the piano quartet, the string trio never happened, and the viola concerto is waiting for me to be performed. But I think the last time I played the solo piece was like in a recital 4 years ago.
That's super nice. So I mean,
and my students are happily playing it, and one is starting next year to put it into an exam program again. So it's still constantly revival of the piece, and it keeps being in the viola's world literature.
Fantastic.
This is now my older daughter coming.
Hello there. It's lovely that you are joining us as well. Is she playing also some instrument?
Are you playing an instrument? Spielst du ein Instrument, Hannah?
Geige.
A little bit Geige.
Yeah.
So she started 3 weeks ago.
Oh, this is sweet. This is sweet. But she will be so talented as you are. So certainly she will play also KRYŠTOF's music very soon.
Maybe. I started very late, with nearly 10 years old. So I was playing tennis before. So tennis was much stronger than viola.
Wow, interesting, because it doesn't go together, right? The tennis playing
it's perfect. And it's like down and up. It's like forehand and you can edge the bow, you slice it, you do top spins, forzatissimos, and it's something which is okay.
But Hartmut, it's symbolic that your daughter just appeared talking about viola repertoire, because in my catalog I have another viola piece,
I know,
which is called Nest. How say that? Nicigoni, Čapí hnízda.
Yeah.
And it's written for Karin, like mother, my wife, mother of our 2 sons, and I recorded voices of my kids when they were just born, and I recorded hundreds and hundreds of hours of their voice, blah 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 blah, and I used this band and I wrote a viola part on that.
Yeah,
it's viola piece with a band. And it's specific, of course, it's very difficult. It lasts 45 minutes. It's like a mini opera for recording and for viola solo. So one day, why not?
Yeah, I mean, I was present in Prague when the first recordings or tryouts have been done. So I got the first ideas before the piece is ready. But in other words, I mean, as I can't give birth to one of your children, I probably can't do a really good performance of this piece. We leave it to Karin.
Yes, of course, it's nature. But
yeah.
I use the opportunity.
Of course, I mean, I can come as close as possible. Let's put it this way. Yeah.
It's so funny. Harp, it's so wonderful that you came, because you brought such a fun atmosphere after even you played the performance today. I'm so thankful that you made really time for us, even after you have been.
No, it was my honor, and I was very happy to have succeeded to be here and to see KRYŠTOF, because we were just talking about a piece which I want to get down in a book of the shot edition for viola favorites, which has to which has to come out next year. And so my plan is not just to have like 70-year-old dead composers in there for viola. So I'm trying to convince Schott and KRYŠTOF's editor to talk to each other, to have a little bit of new atmosphere.
Super. Wonderful.
Yeah.
So if you ever perform KRYŠTOF, let us know so that we will be able to make the notice to the public so that they will be able to come to your concert and listen to you. And I thank you so much, Hartmut, that you were with us. And if you will have time, you can watch the interview from the beginning. You will see the documentary when you see yourself with father of KRYŠTOF as well. And you will just make
fantastic.
memory from that.
Yeah.
It's so lovely.
Okay. Good.
Thank you.
So it was
Hartmut.
nice joining. I will open my bottle of wine and will drink to you too. And hopefully we also play soon together again.
I hope so too. All my best. Merry Christmas and to the whole
Merry
family.
Christmas.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ciao, Christoph.
Ciao.
Salut.
Ciao.
Thank you.
It's Michel's
Bye-bye.
birthday today. We also talked like bon anniversaire, Michel.
Yes, bon anniversaire.
Ciao.
Bye. Thank you. So it has been another surprise, which I'm so glad because we were not able.
Both were big surprise. Aleš Březina and Hartmut. That's wonderful people. I appreciate so much. And so
I'm so thankful that both of them were able to come. I was not sure about Hartmut because we were not even able to check the connection. So we have really not seen he was really coming into because he didn't know if he will manage after the concert to come into the broadcast. So I'm so thankful that both of the very special guests were able to come. Thank you so much to both of you.
Yeah, Hartmut is this kind of person, this kind of musicians. You know, for us composers, we need these people which are complete musicians. It is not just specialist of one stream or whatever, just open to anything and all the time finding new ideas and to initiate new music and not only playing the Bartók concerto, which is wonderful, but so it's now I speak again as a composer. We need this symbiosis between creator and interpreter is on the foundation of our activity. There's not only there's a publisher. Of course, the role of the publisher is I'm very lucky. I have two publishers. I have Lemoine Jobert and Archipel since a few years, and they are doing wonderful job. And we don't exist as composers if we are not if we are not how to say which we are not so understood and help. I think it is the universe of musician needs all these parts, and if one is missing, then it doesn't work.
Indeed. And of course, I am sorry I interrupt you, but we were talking about your instruments which you have on the table, but you have also, maybe you can talk about these instruments after we'll hear some kind of example of the music. Would you like to first now to show the Shanghai or Cosmosono? Shanghai. So let's see. This is the piece which is from Shanghai, exactly, right? It's in China.
Shall I introduce or shall I do it?
Absolutely. It will be nice if you introduce it first.
By few words. It was in 2008 that I was invited with other composers to go to China for 1 or 2 weeks. And the point was to study Chinese folk instruments and to write a piece for an instrument of our choice and a big orchestra. And it was sort of a competition. And I chose the suona. Suona is a Chinese hobo, you know, and the two reeds instruments, which is very powerful and very strong. And I met this great suona player, which you will see on the video and hear. And I wrote that piece and I call it Shanghai. And what it means, it's not only the name of the city, Shanghai. It's written chant, like from French, chanter, which means to sing, chant. And in Chinese, hai means sea, I mean the ocean. The name of the city of Shanghai, it's a village near the sea. So even the title, I connected the French and Chinese language, and it became Shanghai. And this wonderful solist is called. His name is Hu Shenyun, and he is the solist of the orchestra of traditional Shanghai instruments.
Mhm. And I must say also, when you mention this, the title, you always bring to the music of yours very special titles, which are always like a trick of the words and of the meanings. As I said already about the harp concerto Praharfona, this is also another one. And when you will see now the title, you will really, from the first point, you will only talk about or think about the chant, about the singing. So, but then now you understand that it makes actually sense. Shanghai. Yes, it is impressive what he has done on the instrument. It must be very exposing and very difficult on the trumpets, right?
It is difficult, but he impressed me. When we worked with him, normally we worked in the Shanghai Conservatory, but he was so wonderful that I asked him if I can go to his home and to continue to work, and he was okay. And he said yes, and we went there together with another French composer, with Gracian Finzi, and both of us we were so fascinated by his play. And you know, when somebody plays like that, to write for that instrument, it's I cannot say that it's easy, because it's not a chromatic instrument. It means for those people who don't understand, it means that they are not all notes. They are just only some of notes. So yes. It's not as difficult as to write for harp, but it's still difficult because you must respect the nature of
the instrument. Yeah. And now we come back again, because you have also many of these wood instruments, like which you need to use, like the wood instruments, the wind from your mouth. Is there anything what is very interesting as a historic instrument? Because you were trying to show something, and I interrupt you because our guest.
It's ocarinas from South of America from pre-Columbian time. It's again the instrument which is old, almost 1,000 years, and it's from. It's also a sculpture. You see a torture, you see it, but at the same time you see the holes, and you blow into it, and it becomes musical instrument. I can play on that. So
That's wonderful.
And you can
Now,
compare with.
It's come to my point. Is there anything what you would be able to maybe play for the audience, something what will be really premiere and actually the dernier at the same point, because it will be absolutely unique only now as an improvisation for us?
Yes, of course. I love to improvise. I think that the improvisation is on the base of composition. We start with the composers. You sit, you imagine sounds, you imagine what you want to do, and you sit and you must improvise. And what I like to do. So of course I will do it. I will choose some of instruments which are here on the table. I think the people can see, right?
I will go away, so I will leave you alone on the screen, and of course it's your.
And I will go to piano because I like to combine these instruments, these sounds with modern instrument, which is piano, which comparing to these instruments which are so old. Is also very the piano is very young, and also the tuning of piano, which we call temperate tuning, which was established by Johann Sebastian Bach. But all these instruments are not well temperate, has natural tuning. So I will now choose a few of them. Maybe Jana, you can I need 1 minute to put the instruments on the table, and then I will play.
Of course, yes. We will now really have something absolutely special. New piece, which will never be put into the music notation. We will hear it for the first time ever in the live. And actually, if someone will be able to put it into the notation, then it will last forever. But otherwise, we will hear it, and that's it. That will be for us. And we are very honored that composer KRYŠTOF MAŘATKA is going to make improvisation for us, and I'm sure we will be very impressed by all the very different sounds he will create on his instruments, and of course as a pianist also on the piano, because as far as I know he's using always also many new effects on the piano as well. So let's see what he's preparing for us.
So let's call the piece which will be born now. Let's call it I don't know, a while for Harp channel.
Okay.
Or intermezzo for Harp channel.
Thank you so much, KRYŠTOF.
Yeah, well,
This is very unique for us to have the piece for the Harp channel. You know, as a performer and never been a composer, I wonder, as you were saying, you have the imagination and you want to create it. When you create the music, do you write immediately your inspiration which comes to your head, or you keep it and wait until you will have the continuation of this inspiration? How your music actually comes to the life?
yeah, this question comes very often. It's normal. It's very difficult to answer because the processes of creating music is an ensemble of many things together. So there are some of what you are saying. I'm sometimes immediately writing what I'm hearing, and sometimes I need to think a lot about before writing something, and it's always different, and that's what is nice. It's like with kids, when they are gone, you have many children, and each one is very different because each one is born in different context and with different characters, and that's what is fantastic.
It's very true, and I must say, only even it's contemporary music. If the people listen to your music, different music, they find your signature there. It's really clear when I listened now some of the samples which I was also broadcasting for the public. I recognize your writing. There is like we have also when you hear Janáček or you hear Martinu or you hear Dvořák, you recognize it's him. Even it's different music, but it's still there, his signature, and you have your signature as well.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
That's something when you are a composer, of course you are doubting, you ask yourself many questions, and you sometimes you don't know. But I think there's one thing which is fundamental, is to believe into your natural, what you are really. And sometimes composers, they don't have enough courage to do that, because teacher, they ask them to do something, and the public, they ask something, and the universe of contemporary music, it dictates something, and sometimes unconsciously, subconsciously, you don't react as what is nature for you. And I think the biggest thing that the composer has to do is to discover himself. What is his own nature? What is his own character? Maybe for playing is the same. You don't play the same way as the another harp player. It's something is on you, and you must work on that. What is good in you, and it's valuable for anybody. I mean,
Absolutely.
everybody has good and bad sides, but one should work on the good side, and to develop the good side of himself, and then it becomes good people. When
Exactly.
satisfied people, and unsatisfied people are those who didn't discover what is good in them, and
No, it's true. I am already repeated many times during the interviews before, but it's true that in the art we are different. Each person is very different, and the art is about that. That the art should be, each personality should be different, either as a performer or, of course, in the compositions or in the painting or anything. Everybody should be the original. So that's what you have actually said. That you should keep yourself as you are, as a native. Yeah, that's very true. Would you mind if I will now show you also, because you are an amazing fan and inspired by Janacek, Leos Janacek, and you, as a performer of the piano, you have done a piece which calls the Diary of the Forgotten. How to
of one who has disappeared.
Disappeared, one who has disappeared. Exactly. I just was thinking how to translate it. Exactly. So we will, if you allow me, I would like to show this kind of sample of this wonderful piece. Yes, so it was Leoš Janáček, a composer who was probably and is your inspiration. Is it the most impressive composer for you who was inspiring you?
Well, there are many of them, but Janáček has a very specific place. No other composer speaks to me as music of Leoš Janáček. His operas, his chamber music, and this masterpiece, which was interpreted by Michaela Zaimi and me and Aleš Briscén. We didn't hear because it was a passage where he doesn't sing, but it's mostly a piece for tenor and piano. And Janáček, not only by his music, but by his ethic of composer, what he did for music. He lived in this provincial Brno, which didn't have enough of genius to understand his view, and he was waiting 16 years to hear his opera Jenufa, and he waited all his life till he started to compose his masterpieces at age of 60 and 70, and in 15 years he produced I don't know how works which doesn't have no other similar any other composer like that. And he was fighting for the truth, it's everybody tries to fight for the truth, but I mean in the music he was so obsessed by the idea of truth, to be true, he tried to record the folk chants. I have a chance to have his recordings of which dates 1909, when he was traveling with his collaborators from village to village, recording on the old phonograph, and just to notate how it sounds. And we do have them, and I have a copy of them, and I'm very lucky to be. And of course, it's public. It was recorded on the CD, and he was. When I say he was obsessed of truth, it's just to be inspired by the life which is around him, to listen people how they talk, and all these elements are they symbolize truth, and he is there to take it and to transform it to his music. So that's why I'm talking the ethic of composer. That's why what probably I think all of these instruments, and also listening my kids and it's probably somehow subconsciously inspired by Janáček. I don't try, of course, to imitate his music. It would be no sense, and nobody can do that. And I think there are many composers and many musicians to whom Janáček's music changed life, and I am so happy for it. It's wonderful.
Absolutely. A story, a very funny story, which is out of course, the intellectual meaning, but my name is Jana, and the people from abroad, they are always saying Jana Czech, because I'm from Czech. So that's only just to put it on the way that I am also connected to Janáček in this way.
Yeah. Wonderful harp part in Taras Bulba, right?
Absolutely.
And also
in many of his orchestra parts, of course, orchestra compositions, he has used harp very, very well. Yeah, indeed, very important. And you mentioned that Janáček has written wonderful operas, of course, and that you have been inspired by that. And you are now working on the opera. We mentioned it a little bit when we had the guest Aleš Březina with us, but tell us, if you can, tell a little secret about this.
I want to. I would like, because it occupies all my life this last 1 or 2 years. So I have a commission from Czech National Opera in Brno, and since several years I think about a team. I love Czech writer Karel Čapek, and he is one of the most. It's like for Marcel Proust or Thomas Mann for Germans. So for Czechs, we have Karel Čapek, and I love a lot his roman, which is called Továrna na absolutno, which would translate like a factory for absolute. and I think in English it was translated absolute at large. En français, la fabrique d'absolu. And I wanted to do opera on that, and I'm happy that Czech National Opera agreed, and we will do this premiere in few years in Brno. Brno is a wonderful place. Brno, Opera of Brno was recently restored, and it is a huge scene and big, and it's there's a wonderful team of people which are doing great productions, really, not only in opera, also in Philharmonic of Brno. And now they are constructing new concert hall, which will be acoustician will be Toyota, who worked for such a lot of concert halls in the world, also in Paris. So I am very lucky and happy to work on that project. So what is it about? In few words, Karel Čapek in 1922 wrote this roman about scientist who invent a machine which can break atoms and to take huge energy in it. So of course, atom was already discovered before, but the potential of the atomic energy in 1922 it was not at all established. And Karel Čapek imagined what can happen when we use the atomic energy, and he has situated his roman 20 years later in 1943. And he what happens that this scientist he sells his invention to an industrial man who is the chief of one of the huge factory, and he fabricates machines which which can work for very few energy. So it's not cheap at all. Sorry, it's not expensive at all. It's very cheap. But, and this is the point, they realize that using that atomic energy, that some incontrollable another energy is going out of the machine, and they realize that it's divine presence, that God is that the people start to have visions and start to have levitations and start to believe excessively to God. And those who approach that machine are attempt of that phenomenon. So so there are two teams. There's team of religion and team of the science, and all the opera is about how do we use our inventions, and how if we are conscious about its bad effects, and if we use the inventions, what is the price to pay for that invention, and that we must be very careful how do we use it. So in Karel Čapek's roman, it becomes that the people start to believe in God so much and excessively, they become radical, and they start to fight against, and it becomes again world war. So Karel Čapek talks about the biggest war, because the roman was written just after the First World War, which was called the Great War. So Čapek imagined that the Second War, and he was right. It happened exactly at the moment what he imagined. And all of that because of the bad use of that atomic invention. So this, but the way I am saying it, it looks probably very serious, but Karel Čapek didn't write it the way very serious. We should not forget that he's still Czech writer. And in Czech literature, very often you always find the presence of humor and the second plan and the irony. And it's not at all heavy as the subject is serious, but how it's made, it's not at all heavy and not always very serious. So that's what I am trying to do in my opera.
And is it going to be opera in Czech or in French, or which language are you going to do it?
It's going to be in Czech. Yeah, today that's not a criterion for me. I am Czech. My mother language is Czech, and Karel Čapek wrote it in Czech. It's written for opera in Brno, so I don't see any reason why not to write it in Czech. And in today, you translate. You have the subtitles in any opera house, and the singers, they are able today to work to learn their parts in different languages, and that's what they do. Martinu Julieta was learned in Czech, and also all Janáček's opera, even Rusalka, is sang in Czech. So today it's absolutely possible.
It's true, but it's not easy for the singers, of course, especially the contemporary music, when they have also the difficulties, of course, for the melodies and everything. But are you trying? How do you use also? There's some kind of these instruments which you have in front of you?
No, it's totally different. I didn't want to do these things. I understand your question, because in my many pieces I'm inspired about from this world of these trance instruments and the origins of music, which is my passion. But this opera doesn't need it. This opera, it's real theater, and there's a real action, and I have the orchestra, I have choir, I have soloists, I have children ensemble, and it's exciting. And I don't need this universe. It's not. It's not it.
And when it's going to be finished and the premiere?
It's for the season 2024. So I should be finished soon, because you need a lot of time. Then the publisher makes the part, and then we do piano reduction, piano transcription, and then singers, they need 1 year to learn it, and there's many steps. Yeah.
The process. So is it finished already almost, or how much time you need still?
No, I'm at the end of the first third, so it's I'm keeping going as I can.
And how long does it go? How long do you plan that the opera is going to be?
It will be a big opera. I suppose should be like 2 hours and more. 2 hours, 2.5 would be fine. Well, you go at 8 o'clock to the theater, and you go out at 11, something like that.
My question as a harpist: are you using the harp in the orchestra?
I am using harp. I didn't want to, and suddenly, that's a very good question. Suddenly, in one situation, I needed some kind of sound, and suddenly I understood it's harp. So I'm using the.
Of course, harp needs to be everywhere.
So I'm using again harp, and so I'm going.
Great, wonderful. So the premiere is going to be in Brno.
Yes, in Brno, and now we are working on the possibilities to redo opera in collaboration with other opera houses in Europe. So it's on.
And it's your first opera, right?
Yes, it's my first opera. Yeah.
Because you have done many other projects as an actor also. You were doing for the children. You can tell us a little bit about this. As far as I know, that was very interesting, and you have also presented to me, and I was really impressed by that. If you can introduce it.
Another part of my activities. Well, you say actor. I'm not actor. I am composer, and I am sometimes. I like to try another discipline, but just as occasionally, you see. And well, you want to talk about that? I am partly by different projects. I meet a lot of young people, little kids till the age of 20, and I was working different projects. What you call pedagogy project or didactic projects, always connected to new music, because I'm composer. So sometimes I bring these instruments, I show how the music was developing till today. Sometimes I'm improvising, I show them how different sounds in piano, and I am trying to create a music with them, because I try to make them sing and to make rhythms, not only to sit and listen, to do practically. And recently I was working with Paris Philharmonic because they have this huge project, Demos, which tries. This is quite important thing, that they bring music to places where kids have no idea about music. So I mean, I speak now about very poor cities near Paris, the all around the Paris, these specific places where there are not a lot of money, the education is very difficult, and this project by Paris Philharmonie, which is called Demos, goes to these places. So I was chosen as a composer for during 2 years to go to these places and to meet kids and to do this initiation to music. It was very tough. I must say that you see the real problematic of political, social, and culture, of course, and ethnic and religious and whatever. You can feel it very strongly. But thanks to music, music has this attribute and this value, which is wonderful, that it's impersonal, that it doesn't need words. You just play, and you listen 5 minutes of music, you are a better man. So that's what I try to do, and I wrote a piece which for speaker, for one actor, and big children's orchestra. And it was commissioned by Paris Philharmonie, and we did a world premiere in the big hall of Paris Philharmonie with them, with kids. For them, it's they work during 1 year on that piece, and they can play only one note. Imagine violin, they're holding the instrument like this, and they can play empty strings, but they can also put one finger, and that's all you can do. And as a composer, you must work with that. Imagine what a challenge it is for a composer. So I wrote a piece for actor and this orchestra, which I have invented a story about man who is walking and suddenly he's lost in the forest, and this forest becomes orchestra. So then I called the piece "Invisible Forest," because the most beautiful thing on the orchestra is the invisible. It's not the people who are sitting and playing. It's when you close your eyes and you listen to the orchestra. It's the music which comes from the forest. So and this we have this piece exists in French, in Czech, also in English. So I hope one day I would have chance to work with a project with somebody who likes to organize a project with children orchestra, and to do that piece in many places, because I think it has a potential to initiate many children to music and to make them discover the beauty of music.
Absolutely. Can you tell us who was the actor who was doing this project with you?
Who was the actor? Louis Denis Elion. He was. It's a French actor who was invited for the Paris performance, for the premiere. Wonderful actor. And then I had also a chance to do it myself as an actor in with Ensemble Calliope in Saint-Germain-en-Laye. And now we have a project to do it in Brno next June. I'm also invited as on the Philharmonie of Brno to do it. I hope that the project will go, because the COVID had frozen and everything. So I don't know what will happen. But I'm very happy that to go there and to say the text. And I am also in that piece playing the koncovka, this Wallachian Northern Moravian natural flute. So the children, they can also discover Czech traditional folk instruments. They can hear extract from Dvořák's New World Symphony. They sing and they speak in Czech. Imagine the Paris, these French small kids, they were learning Czech. So it was fantastic.
Sweet. That's so sweet. We have seen also at some of the pictures, you are using also very long instrument, which is. Do you have it there as well to show us what is?
You have it on the screen, but you don't see it. But I will show it to you. It's.
I will again give you a space so that you can show it, because it will probably not. Yes, it's there. So I will just give you a space.
It's called La Trompe Pastorale the trompe which is used. I can show it on the.
Mhm. Wow, that's something.
Yeah, like this. It's a signal instrument.
Yes,
It's used,
for the mountains, right?
yes, it uses another
Mhm.
sense of music. It's not only to give pleasure or to for the spiritual meaning or to hunt, but also to communicate. And this instrument, as we know it from Tibetan horns or Alpen horns, and this one is Czech, and it's used by how do you say berger, passáček.
That I don't know how to translate.
Those, you know, when you go with
The one
animals.
who is, yeah,
Sorry?
who is the sheep, who is taking care of the sheep.
That is called a sheep, and you need to communicate to a long distance.
Indeed.
Today we have telephones, huh? But before telephones, it was this, and it's like in a war. You know, you give a signal very specific, and it means offensive or defensive or whatever. And so this is signal instrument, and it has its own predecessors in prehistoric music, because, for example, on the sea, when you're on the ocean and you are fishing, the fishing men, they need to communicate. They are very far from one boat to the other, and they use shells. See, the shells, which becomes today ocarinas. This ocarina, which is from terracotta, from burnt clay, but originally it's a shell from sea, and it's also signal instrument. So
it's everything so beautiful, really. It's so inspiring for having this large instrument which you have shown. It must be very also strong, right? It must be very loud to use it in the music.
You can hear it from to the kilometers, very very far. So when we stop the broadcasting, I am waiting for the neighbors, what they will say. That I will say.
Yeah. And I just want to ask you also, you were also cooperating with the famous Czech actress, Sonia Červená, who was also doing some project with you. Was it some kind of project which you were mentioning already or not yet?
Yes, it had to be in the Invisible Forest, but we didn't do it finally. But it had. She was interested a lot about this fairy tale, Invisible Forest, I just talked about, and there was possibility to do it, but it didn't happen. So, but I'm so much touched to have met her and to be still in contact with her, because she's a legend for Czech music, of course.
Absolutely, she is. Yeah. Well, let's now have another music sample of your video, Cosmosono. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, I need to introduce it, because otherwise you will not appreciate all when you will listen to it. With my wife, Karin Letier, who is violist, and we talked already about her, and she is director of Ensemble Calliope in Paris. And with her, we have made several shows, several concerts, which connects music and science, astrophysics, because we are one of the close friends is a French astrophysician, Hubert Reeves, and because of that collaboration, we were recently contacted by French photographer, who is Raphael Dalla Porta, and Raphael came and said, "Listen, guys, I saw you are connected so much. Not you connect music with science, and I have project which celebrates the biggest discovery of modern astrophysics. And it's what happened a few years ago, that we have that astrophysicians, they have detected for the first time in history gravitational waves. Gravitational waves, it's waves which are produced by the collision of black holes. So you have black holes somewhere in the universe. Today we know that they exist. Stephen Hawking, he talks about it, but this collision of black holes produce huge gravitational wave which goes through the universe till the Earth. Yeah, and these waves, Einstein predicted them. He calculated. He said that they exist, but he said that we will not never be able to detect them. But he was wrong, because last 50 years, all astrophysicians, they were working so hardly that they have constructed a machine which is laser, right? But very, very, very fine and tiny. I think that is one of the most finest instrument ever constructed by human being. It can detect a so small movement for a long distance. Yeah, and the principle is that you have the tubus, you have a tube about 4 kilometers long this way, then you have central room this way, and another tubus like this. So you have 3 kilometers this way and 3 kilometers this way, and inside each tube goes the laser, and it can detect the wave which hits Earth. And thanks to this, these machines, there are 3 machines in the world on that. There are 2 on the east coast and west coast of United States, and the third machine is in Europe, in Italy, near Pisa. And you need 3 points to be able to measure, to have a good measures. But you need 3 different points on the Earth. And when they detect the same wave in the same time, there's small tiny difference of 0.00 second, but when they detect the same thing at the same time, then we know that is the wave. But of course you will ask me, what is it for, all of this? It learns us a lot about what happens very, very far from other galaxy, from our galaxy. Thanks to these waves, we can calculate many other things. It's like a new way how to look universe. We don't, of course, we do need telescopes, but today we can also use this sort of measure. So now I come back to the story that Raphael came to us and said, I have an idea. It's so new for the humanity that we should celebrate this. And my idea is to go to inside the machine. Right? Totally forbidden. Nobody can go there, but to go there and to try to make communicate the machine not only with the universe, with the waves, but also with a human being. So how to make communicate the machine which detects vibrations? How? By music, because music is waves. So the idea is to go inside the machine. The machine is called interferometer. So go to inside interferometer, play music. And he organized this, and we went there, me and Karin with the viola, and I went there with some of these instruments, because this collision of black holes, we detect them today, but what we detect, it has happened billions years ago. What we detect today, it's the past. It's like the stars. When you look at the sky, what do you see?
Is this one which I will show now? Is it this one?
Yes. That's, you can, if you, I don't know if you can make zoom, or maybe in the middle of the screen. In the middle of the screen, you can see Karin and me standing in the middle of the central room of interferometer in Virgo, in Pisa, in Italy.
Amazing.
And we are playing, and Raphael made a film about that. He filmed that performance. We have stayed 2 days, and now we are proposing a concert, which is show or concert. I don't know how would you characterize that, but we are 5 musicians and one astrophysician, which is Peter Wolf from Observatoire de Paris, and Rafael Dalla Porta, who is the photographer, and we have this big screen, and we connect this biggest discovery in astrophysics. We connect it with the past, with the prehistoric presence of man, with prehistoric paintings and my prehistoric instruments. That's why you will see that I'm playing on the on my instruments. So, and we are now trying to do as possible concerts, because it's so new and it's really something very, very specific.
Unique, absolutely unique. Let's see now and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Very interesting, and I wonder if your music was really measured also by the that place, at that place with all the how to say the instruments they have there for measuring.
It's a very good question. It was, and the point was that if my music, which I composed for the machine, could be detected by the laser, by the machine, like the wave, and it was, because it detects waves which is close to between 400 and 600 kilohertz, which is
Yeah, exactly.
So I have recording of my piece which is made only by laser. which is completely crazy. It's not microphone, you know. It's not air. It's just vibration. It's totally crazy.
Don't you think that might be a future for the music? That
Sorry?
it might. Do you think that it might be the future for the music, like to be recorded by the laser only like that? So it will not need to be.
I don't see the use, because it's so perfect today what we use for the recording music.
I know, but if something new comes like this, that even they find out that the laser can find out the music vibration so well that it can detect it, and it can be, maybe, I don't know. I am just like asking, like
I
just
don't
ask.
It's so fine, the instrument, that it can maybe even record when you move your eyes, you know. So
Exactly. That's why I think that,
very crazy.
because the life is going to so much big details, so that it might be also the way, you know, because the very big details might not be detected by something else than only the laser. So it's maybe, I don't know, but certainly they cannot even, when they are talking there, it has to be also detected by this laser, right?
I'm not sure, because it needs some, you know, the wave. When we produce notes, it records very well the notes which are held when you are speaking. It's moving very, very much. So I'm not sure that that would be a good point. But I think that all this thing is so new that they are now projecting to construct this machine, the interferometer, not on the Earth but on the space, because on the Earth, as I told you, it measures only 4 kilometers, but in the space that they are doing now, they can do thousands of kilometers of laser. You know, so they will put, I think, on the orbit this tunnel, this machine, and to be able to detect something much more strong, much more powerful. It's phenomenal, and I'm very happy that Czech music contributes to such a discovery. And recently, I am very happy, I must say, that I was in touch with our great astrophysician, Mr. Jiří Grigar, who is a fantastic person, and he is very much interested in this project, and I hope that we will be able to play our concert with him in Czech soon. So
I hope so too, and I wish that it happens. I must mention, as it has been already mentioned here by our guest Aleš Březina, who so kindly remembered also Harry Halbreich.
yes.
So I just would like to mention that again, because he was mentioning that Harry was telling him, to Aleš, about you as a new Martinu for the future. So I just want to say that you really have been already like discovered also by the really professional composers as a great talent. You have got some prizes already. You have won also, I would like to mention, a prize as a first composer ever in the history of the Prague Awards, which was given you 2 years ago. So I just would like to present that you have this. I was also honored to be next to you there, so that I have seen your prize there. How was your feeling when you have discovered that you got this prize?
Oh, about the prize. Well, it's not unpleasant, you know. Of course, somehow, of course, when you get a prize, it's sort of thank, and I think when you are in the final with other composers, it can be another one or me or someone. It's of course it's not. It depends on different criteria, but anyway, it's of course it's a. It's big pleasure, and I hope that composers they will try to they will make the necessary to present their works, because it's I think that in Czech musical world this prize is not didn't exist before, and it somehow gives an importance to what we do. So, like any prize, of course, you can discuss about many things when when you have a palmarès. It's always you can discuss about it, but in other way, it's important that such event exists in Czech musical world, I think.
And you said you can maybe mention what piece has got this prize actually.
It's piece which is trio for this instrument which I play. So I'm playing piano and this instrument and viola and clarinet. And the piece is called Báchorky. It's like fairy tales. And we have made a premiere with Michel Letiec and Karine, my wife. And we have made a premiere in Paris in 2018 of that piece, and it's that world premiere which got the prize, and also CD. We put it on the CD, which is CD by a French company Arion, which is my own CD about my music, especially my clarinet music. So it's a CD around Michel Letiec playing my clarinet concerto. I didn't talk about my clarinet concerto, but we will need one night for that. But it's a CD which for me represents a lot, because it represents exactly what I am trying to do in my music, and I hope that people would find something at least interesting what I was saying all this evening to you.
And KRYŠTOF, we have never come to the point that I would like to ask you, what piece and in which age did you write for the first time?
I don't know if it's so important, but it's true that I started very soon. I must say that I thank to my parents and my father who I spent a lot of time with piano and with violin, because I took two years of violin in the same time. And age of 8, I was not working a lot like any kid. I think but I spent a lot of time with piano, just improvising, trying things, and so on. And this is, I think, very important for parents to try to observe and to react. And that's what did my father. He found me a teacher, Hanuš Bartoň, his composer, and he was at that time student and was coming at home, and he was learning me how to write music. And I was 8 years, which is very soon. Normally, you start much later. So I was very lucky in this time, and not only I was lucky, but it made for me that I had never doubt about what I want to do in life. I always wanted to be composer, and I think it's a privilege. It's most of people, they probably doubt what to do in life, and they have to decide at age of 18 and so on. And I understand it. It's they must find their way. But for me, I always wanted to do. For you is the same. I see that your mother made a lot for you as a harpist, and we should thank to our parents, and also to all my family and my French family, because without my French family, I could not be what I am today. About Michel and Karine and Saskia and so on. It's a symbiosis of things. And so I think one must be a little bit talented, a lot of work, and to have a little bit of luck, something like that.
That's true, but you started really very, very early. When you were 8 years old, you composed the first piece already when you were 8 years old, or you only started to study?
No. I started study by composing pieces. Yes.
And do you have perfect pitch?
No, at all. You can sing A flat, and I can sing that it's E, G. So I don't have, but I do have. When I play piano, I can recognize now.
And you are, of course, the composer who is still using the old-fashioned only handwriting, or are you using the computer for writing the music?
No, I don't need. I don't need it. I'm
handwriting.
Yes,
of course. Yeah, of course. I know that, but I just wanted that the people also know, of course.
There are many good things about it, because for eyes, and it goes much faster somehow. I don't think then when you copy, It's different. It's really very, very helpful, the computer. So it depends which stadium of writing you mentioned, but the composing, when I'm just writing and throwing away and again changing, I cannot work on the computer.
I can imagine. And do you know when, or do you remember when a composition which you have written was performed for the first time by some other person, some other musician?
Some other musician, I do. I was 10 or 11, and I wrote a duo for bassoon and clarinet. And I remember that feeling that I gave it, thanks to my professor. He gave it to somebody in the small conservatory, when I was, and the two teachers, they worked on it and they recorded, and they brought me a recording. I could not believe it, that I can hear the piece. I remember very well that feeling. Yeah, it's
That's
great.
beautiful.
Really great moment to hear your own music, even today. I must tell you, I wrote a violin concerto last year. It was 1 year of work, 1 year concerto of violin and orchestra, and now I am waiting for occasion, opportunity to play it, and it's very difficult, especially for coronavirus and so on. And this score, I know that it's one of my best pieces, and I put all in it, and now it's sleeping for the moment in the in the on the table, and
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the opportunity to do it, and I hope that it will come. So maybe somebody is listening, maybe somebody will have some ideas, but
That
that's
would be fantastic. Is there there is no plan at the moment, because there is no plan possible?
there are some plans, but for a long time, and you know how is it today? You cannot really planify. It's so tough.
Absolutely, absolutely. And KRYŠTOF, except that you are doing on the opera and you finished your violin concerto, is there any piece you are now searching for doing in the near future after you finished your opera?
I do, but I will not talk about, because it's not enough ready to be.
I understand. But it's nice to have plans, at least like that, and that you have some dreams. Is there any dream you would like to that come true?
A dream. There are many of dreams. No, well, my dream is to realize my dreams. My dream is to, well, the piece on which I am working now happens, and happens well. So it's the opera and violin concerto, and the smaller others, of course. We don't need to invent huge things, but I hope I am optimist more, but I think that the life will come back again, and at least you see in any situation, there's bad and a good side. And good side of this situation of pandemic is that we make this broadcasting. If otherwise it would never happen. No, am I wrong?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So and we learn to use computers, and we learn to share with many other people from house. It's amazing. So
Absolutely. We have to take the positive side of the negative situation at the moment. But certainly, KRYŠTOF, I would like to ask you, do you have any funny moments from your experiences at the stages, either as a performer or either as a composer? Do you have anything what you can share with the public?
oh, funny. This I was not ready for. Well, it's not, maybe not so well. Give me some other question, and if it comes, I will.
So maybe something unexpected what has happened to you. Maybe, I don't know, that you went to a different place where the concert was not going to be, and it has happened in the different places, or something like that. If you have any of the
I do have one funny piece, and it's connected to my traveling. In 1998, I was used to go to Russia a lot. I had a very good friend who is conductor, Emmanuel Leduc Baron, and he's French, but he's living in St. Petersburg. So I went there but I didn't like planes, so I took always trains and buses and so on. So I went to Finland. I went to Helsinki and going to St. Petersburg, and it was in January. It was minus 20 degrees. You know, it's very, very frozen. And there's just one train by day from St. Petersburg to Helsinki. And I was on the train, and on the border of Russian border, they came, the police control passport, and they looked my Czech passport, and they said, "Oh, your passport is a falsificate. It's not the real one. You have to go out the train." And then put me out of the train in the minus 20, and they put me in the police, the box, and then they had to check my passport, and the train left. Yeah, there's only one train by day. And then 1 hour later, they came back and say, "Oh, it's okay. We checked. It's okay. You can go." But you can go. You are in the middle of the forest. You know, you are in Karelia. You're just lakes and forests, and there's nothing. And there is 2 meters of snow, and nothing. And I remember that feeling, to be alone, to doesn't know what to do, and it is cold, and have to wait 20 hours on a train. And I sat there and I wrote my flute concerto. Because it was so inspiring, so absurd, that I called that piece Karelian Dunka. You know, Kareli is the region, and it was so silent. It was silence, and the sounds came suddenly to me, and that's how I started my flute concerto. So I don't know if it's enough funny, but it's totally, of course, totally abused the policemen, which just think that your passport is not valid, and they put you out. And because I was used maybe too much to communist system, I obeyed. I went out of the train. I should not have to, probably. But anyway, in the night, I would have never written my flute concerto. So
you see, again, another example that exactly the negative point can bring some positive, and it's wonderful. And the flute concerto was premiered by Patrick Gallois.
Yes, it was premiered in Salle Pleyel in Paris by Patrick Gallois. Exactly.
That's great, because we have been performing also our Praharfona in Uverskele, where he was the conductor, and there the conductor of the Praharfona was Fabrice Pierre. I have to mention, because of the harpist. So I have here also the picture from the.
That's great.
Yeah, so it is really a great memory, and of course, unfortunately, Patrick is not there on the picture, but it has been also wonderful time there. Yeah. And you mentioned Russia, and I must also mention that you are, as I already sometimes mentioned, that you are doing acting, and you also presented once to me your melodram Kuznetsov. And I was searching for it in English language. Unfortunately, I found it only in Czech and in French on the YouTube. But you are also doing it in English, right? This melodram.
Yes, it is also in English. I can do it in Russian, in German, in French, in English, and so in Czech.
It's a pity that I cannot present it, because, of course, if it will be in Czech, the people will mostly not understand from the abroad, and in French the same. It will not be really understood by everybody. But I mean, who wants and who understands those languages, please go to the YouTube and find it, because it's something so unique, so special. And I must say, when I heard it for the first time, I was incredibly touched. It's really, you remember that. I was really so touched by that. So it's something very, very special. You should not miss it.
Why it's special? Because I am sitting on piano, playing with my hands inside the piano, but I am speaking. I am saying the text by a Russian writer, Daniel Harms, which is tragicomic text. It's very somehow tragic, sad, but in the same time you laugh a lot, like Gogol, like Kafka, like Zweig, like other writers. So that's what I like to do, to tell stories, and in the same time accompany myself on the piano.
It's true. This is very tragic. It's really tragic, but at the same time, the final point is actually funny, which is so different balanced. So it is incredibly, but I know that even my children, they're always singing, oh, Kuznetsov. That's something they enjoyed it so much. So I must say, really, it's something what you should not miss. And KRYŠTOF is incredible. I don't think that anybody else can do it better than him. So it's something what you should not miss, really, and see that. So I'm sorry, I cannot present that, but I would like just very quickly, because we are already 3.5 hours together, and I am so sorry that it's too late and you might go to sleep, and the people also would like to go to sleep. But of course, this interview is going to be still safe on the YouTube. You are not going to miss anything. You can always watch it, and you are welcome to watch it, of course. So I just would like to go through some of the pictures which I have not been presenting in the videos and which I would like not to miss to the people. Here is a picture of you with your son, and you are presenting him something. Can you tell us what is that?
You don't know? It's a hammer of piano. It's a piano hammer.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought that it's some kind of flute again. Okay, now I got it.
My son David is pianist, and he's in Paris Conservatory, and the second son Jan is also in Paris Conservatory on clarinet.
I see. Okay, and here we have a picture of you and the house behind your.
It's not my cottage, but it's on the. It looks like that. It's with my very good friend Zuzka, which is this summer. It's the place I love to go and where I write a lot of music.
Exactly, it's the place which is inspiration for your music. Here I have a picture which I bet it's in Spannungen Festival. Is that true?
It's exactly.
Because it looks the wall like at the Heimbach Spannungen Festival, which is organized by the Lars Vogt, the pianist who was also our guest. It's here. He was premiering also your piece at the festival, right? You were the residence composer.
Yes, I was composing in residence in 2013, and you played the Praharpona, you played the harp piece, and I wrote a solo piano piece for Lars Vogt, and it was great.
Yes, and here I have a picture, and I'm sorry I could not recognize who is on the picture, if it's your mom or...
This is my father.
Is he a father? Okay, I'm sorry because I could not see that. Yeah.
It's a sad picture. It's just 2 months before he died. But he was still on the ski, as you can see, and he was 96. 96.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. And here I have a picture. Yes, this I have also already mentioned to the public that it was. And here's another sculpture.
Yes, this is in Ústí nad Orlicí, another sculpture of my grandfather, which is called Nastráž. And the sculpture was made in 1925, maybe 27. I don't remember exactly.
And here it's the picture which I have only cut you with Karen together, but I didn't know who are the other people. So if you can introduce them.
My sister, Irena. My sister is a doctor. She's chief doctor of, she makes the palliative medicine. And her husband, Jakub, he's a rheumatologist.
Wonderful, wonderful. And here we have, just a second, I will find out. This is, I showed already that you were in China.
Yes, this is very nice picture because we are 8 composers together, which is very rare as a picture. The picture you can see from left, it's me, and then Pascal Zavaro, Kigang Chen, Guillaume Connaissant, Thierry Pécou, and Bernard Cavana, René Bosque, Gracien Finzi, and Jean-Jacques Ditucci.
Wow, that's very special, fantastic. And this is the place where you got the prize, right?
Well, yes, I did. I got the first prize. I was the piece you heard, the Shanghai.
Yes,
it won the competition, so I was very happy, of course.
Fantastic, fantastic. And this picture is very interesting. You can tell us, what are you carrying? Where are you?
This is in a cave, in a prehistoric cave. I'm just putting my hands on the wall, on the calcite.
Uh-huh. And here's again picture of your family. It's your mom next to you with your children, and there is your sister.
My sister, exactly, yes.
And here we have you and...
Alors, this is very interesting. This is Guy Erisman, who is founder of Mouvement Leoš Janáček. He made a lot for Janáček music in France. Thanks to him, I think, Paris Opera now, they program almost every year an opera by Janáček. But I don't know, it's about 20 or 30 years ago, it was not at all the case. And Guy made a lot for that. And he was founder of that movement, Janáček, so it groups a lot of French people and fighting for Janáček music in France. And he was also president of Ensemble Calliope, which runs Karin, my wife.
I see. Wow, that's fantastic.
And this is in Czech Center. Yeah, it was in Czech Center of Paris. Yeah,
I see. And
this is not in Czech Center of Paris. This is a picture from show my piece, which is called A Four-Legged Crow, Le Corbeau à quatre pattes, čtyřnohá vrana, which is a melodrama for two comedians, which you can see on the left side, two comedians and 9 musicians, and always on the text Absurd by Daniel Harms, and about 1 hour and 20 minutes long piece. It's like a suite of absurd and crazy and funny situations when you cry and you laugh in the same time.
I see.
You can see a part of it, 11 minutes of the piece. You can see it on my website on YouTube.
Super. I will just put also there the banner so that the people can see your website, of course, there. And here is you on the mountain. Where?
This is in Beau-de-Provence. It's south. It's Provence. It's near the place where was living Vincent van Gogh. And there's a castle, and there is it's a beautiful place. And we were there like 2 years ago, and there's a lot of. It's rather windy, as you can see it on.
Great. And here's also another interesting picture.
Yes, it's an exposition. It's some contemporary exposition, and it's just the angle which makes that I have wings, but it's not true. Of course, it's optical effect.
And here it's
yes,
Shanghai.
This is Musée d'Orsay. You know, Orsay Museum in Paris. This is huge space which was a railway station before, and now it's a museum for one of the biggest of Paris and one of the most beautiful. And Karin, she organized concert there for the Ensemble Calliope about for the exposition, which was called Au-delà. It means what is behind, and it was connected to the exposition of paintings. And we are playing in the big space with a huge screen. And I was playing. Also, you cannot probably see, but I am the first person on the right and playing my horn, as I showed you.
The long one. Yes, which you presented to us. And here you have also another sculpture behind you. Is it from your grandfather?
No, this is Leoš Janáček. This is in front of the Brno Opera. I'm very touched by this picture because there's my master behind me, Leoš Janáček.
Of course.
Yeah.
And here's the opera.
Yes, exactly.
That's it. Yeah. And here you are as a conductor.
Yes.
And you are conducting probably the Vábení?
Yes, exactly.
It seems like that. And here we have a very beautiful picture.
This is a picture made for interview in a Reflex. It's a Czech magazine, and you can see the painting by one of the great artists, Czech artist of 20th century, Jiří Kolář. He was known for collage, to make a collage. So there's a my reflection.
That's really gorgeous.
Yeah.
Gorgeous picture. Here I allow myself to present also the picture from the performance Praharfona in Prague with the students of the Prague Conservatory, which was very demanding for them, of course, but they have done a great job. I must say it was really fantastic playing of them, and that's after the concert. You can see the music of Praharfona of our guest KRYŠTOF, and I would say you are really the best, KRYŠTOF. I really appreciate so much your time you gave us. And of course, before I will say goodbye to you and to our audience, I would like to give you a chance, if there is anything which I missed to talk about, if you want to mention something what is important in your life, or what you wish that happens to you, to the family, if there is anything what you wish that still come through in your life.
There is. I will keep it for me. Maybe it's very intimate, but thank you. I want to thank you what all of you are doing. This, of course, this broadcasting, and which keeps us, the artists, we have feeling that we are still alive. It's really you have initiated something which is very, very, very deep, very important. And I wish that in your career you will continue to to make shine the harp, because I know that the harp needs the shining. It's not the instrument that the people always think that it's equal to other instruments. I don't know why, but it's really fundamental. You can inspire other composers. It's very important, and I wish that we meet again. We will meet again. We'll play again together, and you will invite a lot of interesting people to your broadcasting. And I want to thank you to all people who were with us. I'm not sure till now because it was very, very long, but they can listen to it on a replay and to make a review or whatever. But anyway, it was an honor for me to be at home and in the same time to be with you and with all the people.
Thank you very much, KRYŠTOF. It's our honor that we had such a special guest and such a wonderful, also special guest surprises as Aleš Březina and Harmut Rode. And I'm thankful to all three of you that you were having time for us, that you shared all your really interesting and very fantastic stories. And that we could have, I know you very well, but that other people could meet you so in person and know that you are mainly also human being, wonderful person, and the artist. There is no words to explain. That's something very special.
I would like to, if I have opportunity to say it, that we are never sure if our concert will be realized in next month, but at least there is one great festival. It's in Basel. It's called Mizmorim Festival, which they have their own programmation, only Czech music, and it's in third week of January. And I'm happy to conduct there and to play there, and I hope it will happen. And I invite all those people who are listening to us, who can go there and to go to Basel, and from 18th to 25th of January to listen a lot of Czech music there.
I really hope and wish that it happens and that it will not be postponed or cancelled, but I'm sure that people are hungry for the music, and if possible to travel, go there and share the happiness and the joy of the music which we are living from. So I think that we need really the music for our life. So be with us all the time, and thank you for composers like you and others that are writing the music, and the other generation will continue to enjoy this gift which is given to us from the universe. Thank you very much to everybody. Thank you again, KRYŠTOF, for being with us, and I wish you all good night if you are going to sleep, or good day if you are in the other part of the globe. So I hope to see you very soon. Unfortunately, our interview on Monday was cancelled, and we were supposed to have Patrizia Tazzini. Unfortunately, she's not available. So hopefully we will see her soon in the near future, but I hope we will meet on the 22nd, I guess it is the day, or 22nd, when we will have the Jasmine Choi, the fantastic flute player, and I'm sure we will enjoy again. So have a great day and a wonderful Advent time, and thank you again to be with us. KRYŠTOF, all my best. And now I would like to present the life of KRYŠTOF in the globe, and I wish you all happy days. All the best. Bye-bye.
Bye.